Should I start it normal or should I start it with some sort of talking? You know what? We'll just start it right now. It's the Two Dads Review. Everybody, welcome. Thanks for finding us. Thanks for coming back. This is your first time here. Hang on. It's going to be a good ride. We are going to be talking about what pretty much everybody else in the entire world, whether it be in podcasts or on YouTube, is talking about right now.
What's that? What are we talking about?
We're going to talk about Infinity Wars, baby. Infinity Wars.
Infinity Wars, baby. Yeah.
My name's Clay. I'm one of the two dads. The other dad on the other side of the mic.
I'm Corey. What's up, everybody?
Thank you for finding us, and we are always available at twodadsreview.com. All of our podcasts are there, and there's also links to all the other great places we are located. Where are those places, Corey? Do you know?
No, that's why you do
it. We are on.
Like, just go to twodadsreview.com and everything's there. Like, what? I don't know what else anybody needs.
That's right. Twodadsreview.com is our audio boom site. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Radio Public. You can also catch us over at the Two Dads Review YouTube channel. Put the podcast up there in case you don't want to just throw on your headphones at work and put us in the background. It always works. So that's where we roll. That's where we are. That's all there is. We made some friends this week out on the internets, on Twitter, saying hi to everybody, and we got a couple promos for some other good podcasts. We'll run for you guys. In fact, you know what? I think we'll drop one right here.
It's been 1,000 years since the Celestial War, and the great races were rendered extinct. 1,000 years since the establishment of the Decladine Empire, and peace came over Pylus. But an ancient secret that promises of untold power has broken the alliance and threatens to destroy the realm. Join our heroes, Tash.
Grab Daryl. Get out. I will follow you. Go.
Silverpaw. You'll pay for this, Sylvia. Crag.
Someone is looking for you. The name Tash mean anything to you?
And Bagger.
Let's get dangerous.
As they uncover dangerous secrets, ancient cities, and race against time and the Empire itself to save Pylus. Download The Stranger Lands now, before it's too late.
The world isn't a paradise, and you'll find out why with each episode of Aggravated Hour, a podcast created to release aggravation while being entertaining. This show isn't for the faint of heart. This show is not for those who think most people are good. This podcast is to showcase how aggravating life can be. We hope you laugh, but really, who cares? Find us anywhere podcasts are available. Aggravated Hour.
So that's a great podcast that we listened to last week, and we want to make sure that we know you found us, and we're glad you did, but we want to make sure that you find some other folks, too. So there's some really great podcasts out there. Always check us out at Twitter at Two Dads Review. We're Two Dads Review everywhere. Anywhere that it matters, just find us there. So without...
and the promos are not just promos from other TV and movie review shows. It's a whole kind of shebang and plethora of things that may be coming.
That's right. Yeah, there's never a reason to just stick with our corner of the market when it comes to TV and movies. We definitely can. There's good podcasts. Two guys just sit down, or two people just sit down and just shoot the shit for an hour. And sometimes that's great to listen to on just a rainy day, you know?
Yeah, dude. Other people's bullshit is sometimes like the perfect white noise. like, and I don't mean like it'll put you to sleep, but it's like it takes you out of all the care in your life. You're like, yeah, man, like somebody else has got it rough too. Or you're like, damn, that guy's got it bad. Like, I'm glad I'm not in those fucking shoes. Very true.
Very true. So, yeah. So just, always remember there's more than just who you listen to out there. It's always an ever expanding world of podcasts. So go on, check everybody out. And that's how it works. But more importantly, so 19 movies, I think, and 10 years in the making, we finally have, like, the orgasm of movies when it comes to the Marvel Universe.
And, like, a full body shot of Thanos, like, not sitting.
Right. He's just sitting there, just all over the place. Oh, man. I mean, okay, so we did not see this movie together. I actually went on opening night, on Thursday night at 10 o'clock, and I was like, man, I'm not going to be out of there till almost 1. It's a long-ass movie.
Yeah, it is. It's the fucking... in my viewing of the movie, the bulb went out.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean, like, of the projector?
Yeah, so, and the audio kept playing, so it was like the whole tail end of the movie, basically, like, where you just know Thanos is gonna win, like, kind of like at this point, like, you just feel like, I don't think anybody on the good side's really going to be able to stop this guy. And, like, the camera kicks out and you're, like, thinking this is like, whoa, shit, here's the defining moment of the whole fucking movie. Bulb goes out. Audio keeps playing. Like, everybody in the crowd started going, la, 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 la. So they didn't hear the fucking audio, man. Like, and the worst part is I was probably like 2 bottles of water deep in at this point. So, like, actually, I was extremely ecstatic that the bulb went out because I was like, I have a free bathroom break right now and I'm about to burst at the seams. So nice. I wasn't pissed in any way, shape, or form. Missed all the audio. Didn't hear anything that was, like, given away with, like, screams or crackles or whatever. Mm-hmm. Came back in, movie kicked right up. I was like, man, this is fucking perfect.
So your theater stopped it, rewound it, changed bulbs, and put it back to pretty much where it cut out.
Yeah, actually, like a few seconds before, they were in there with us, and everyone was like, "Keep going, keep going."
Oh, yeah, shit.
This is a good. Yeah, like, I will give the Paragon credit because, like, there was a moment there where the crowd was getting a little rowdy, and, like, the lady came in and, like, was like, "Hey, we got it covered. The bulb went out. Like, please go to the bathroom now. Like, we're gonna mute the audio as quickly as we can." Like, there was, and, like, you could hear the dude on the other end of the intercom, like, panting heavily, like he was, like, hauling ass to, like, get wherever he needed to be. You know, like,
man.
Like, this is Infinity Wars. Do not fucking send this crowd into a fury. Like, we will not be able to stop the rampage that will happen.
They will burn that place down. That is very true.
But they got it back up, man, and, like, waited for everybody to come back into the movie, you know, like, at a decent rate. Like, they were like, "Hey, we're going to start this up so everybody gets the film back going, blah, blah, blah." Like, you know, you got, like, 2 minutes to get back to your seats. You know, they handled it as about as well as possibly could be handled.
Right. Well, oh man, so this is just for me personally. What could you see, like, the operating system? Like, was it like Windows Movie? Like, were you just like could you tell when they were rewinding it? Like, did something pop up or not?
Nah, dude. I mean, this was, like, yeah, like, I don't know what system they got, but it wasn't like you saw a blue line pop up at the bottom.
I was just kind of wondering.
And then grab them, like, okay, I'm gonna slide my MKV file back just a little bit.
I just wonder because they're all digital now. It's not like it's a reel anymore. So I was just always wonder if it's like, is there a little blue line that just you never see before they start the movie?
I still thought they were like I still thought they were real.
Probably not, especially not these kind of movies. It's all digital. It comes in a hard drive, I think. They ship them in a hard drive. I could be wrong, but there's no point in converting a digital thing to film print. I mean, why would you print film?
I don't know, because it's fucking cool.
I mean, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, but...
I mean, 4K film.
I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. When we whisper, it means we don't know it at all.
Absolutely have no clue. We are 2 dads that just like movies and TV shows. We do not have any sort of training in film or any sort of film school under our belts. We're just mid to late 30s dads who want to talk about the nerdy movie shit that we like. Sorry.
Yeah, dude, I got hard enough time putting on fucking clothes, man. I'm not going to know anything about fucking film and angles and, you know, molecular structures and that shit.
Right. Thank God we just do our podcast from the shoulders up when it comes to our hangouts, because I do not want to know if you made it to pants today or not.
I did, dude. I'm in sweatpants. Like I'm actually overdressed today.
Now, a little side note to everybody who's tuning in who listened last week and you're like, where the fuck is my episode 2 of Westworld season 2? Do not worry. No one is releasing movies for the next 2 weeks just because they're like, nah, it's cool. They could have the box office for the next 2. Infinity Wars could have the box office. So next week we will bring you a combo Westworld season 2 episode 2 and 3 combination show next week. So it'll be a long show. I think like we talked last week, Corey, we're going to break it down by track, by like person, because we're not going to talk episode 2 just to have episode 3 screw up something that we were teased with in 2. So we're going to take you in the most straight line we can with each story that we're given for those 2 weeks. So don't worry. We know it's episode 2 is already out. We're going to get to it next week. Do not worry. But this week we have to talk Infinity Wars.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing that matters.
All right, and so we are a spoiler crazy show, but first we'll just give you a little bit of if you're waiting in line saying, oh, I got to listen to Corey and Clay and see this if they tell me to go see the movie, give me your reaction.
That would make my day if I knew someone ever said that.
If you're waiting in front of a theater listening to our podcast, just tweet at me. I will send you a pair of Corey sweatpants. Like I will.
Like if I ever, like I always wondered about that, man. Did you ever think about someone like that before we even get in the film now? Like, did you ever think, I wonder if that person like ever like fucking thought I was sexy? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like just knowing that somebody out there is like, cause we all do it, man. We all fantasize about people, but knowing that you're someone's fantasy, like if that ever came to light, dude, like that's the biggest like ego booster you could ever have is like, oh shit, man. Fucking, I did it. Yeah. I was your
Trust
fantasy
me.
for a night. Like hell yeah.
I've never pondered that whatsoever. I'm so sorry.
Oh my God, dude. You're not living, man. You gotta
I guess not.
You gotta get
maybe
outside.
I think I'm everyone's fantasy. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, you're just so self-confident. You're like, I wouldn't.
How am I not?
I wouldn't be your fantasy.
How am I not your fantasy? How am I not I mean, come on. So, okay. So your reactions without spoilers, what you felt going in, like what were you expecting, and then how your emotions were coming out of it, what surprised you about what you felt watching the movie. Go.
Okay, that's a lot.
I know.
Well, I don't really go in expecting anything from movies. Okay, like
not since this podcast started, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, like I don't watch trailers. Like maybe I watched like one Infinity War trailer and I'm like, okay, cool. And I refuse to check any of the other stuff out or anything like that. So I try to go in and just let the movie take me where the directors and actors wanted the movie to go. Like I don't try to go like, this is going to be a super awesome film. Like I got to go fucking see it. I'm like, nah, man, let me just go in and go along for the ride and see where it takes me. And man, was it like just fucking cool. Like it was just a cool ride. Like the like looping back of storylines and the introductions of like not even new characters, but like old characters, you know, that you just were like, oh shit, that's where they're at. That's what they're doing. Like, oh wow. Like all those little things were like super cool. And then of course, like and I will say this, outside of like Groot dying, right? Like, cause Groot dying fucking choked everybody up. I don't care who you are. Like, you're just like, that big lovable tree was not supposed to go down like that, right? This movie, for all of maybe 30 to 60 seconds, will fuck you up.
Right.
Like,
and this isn't even spoilers. People expected some folks that we like to die.
Yeah. And like, and there are people in the movie that die. And even if you've seen any of the other things and you're like, holy shit, like that's a lot of people, because there's a lot of people that die in this movie, like in a grand scale when you actually think about it. But there's just a scene in it where you are so caught up in like the action that has been happening around you, like you're like, oh man, this is superheroes, like they're doing superhero shit. And then all of a sudden you go, that's a fucking kid, man. And you're done. And you're like, oh God. And then the movie's like, gotcha.
Right.
But stick around for the next one. hold on for the end credits for the trailer.
Right.
Like.
So to take the weight off your shoulders with this questioning, you said something that kind of popped. You don't watch trailers, and it's probably a good thing that you don't, because you can't trust trailers anymore. Because they will cut stuff into trailers that is not in the movie, or they have taken things out of what you're visually seeing in the trailer, or they have changed to what the end product really is to not give away a twist. Well, then don't cut that into your trailer. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's a really cool scene, but don't cut that, because now we just don't trust you anymore. And we've said this before on this podcast. It's like, if you don't have to do that. We're going to go see the movie, okay? Like, cut some good stuff from the movie together. Don't spoil the whole movie. Don't tell the whole tale. You want to have one scene from the final end battle? Great, but don't show me intercut pieces of the final fight and then digitally change certain aspects of it, or put people into it who aren't even there in the movie. So we'll get to that, because I don't want to spoiler completely everything, because Corey's kind of already touched it. Go see this movie in the theaters. It's going to make you feel stuff. Like, I don't feel a lot of stuff when I watch Marvel, when I watch, movies like that. Like, I don't feel things. It's more for just like action and adventure and it's superhero stuff. And no matter how bad the hero's getting beat down, you know that something is going to rise within him to make him be okay and beat the bad guy by the end, or at least come to a draw or whatever. This movie you're not going to leave this theater happy. You'll leave it happy, but you're going to be a really sad happy.
Yeah, you'll be like, it's like, I don't know, man. It's like watching one of those like heartwarming videos of someone beating cancer or like learning to walk, and it's like the whole like quick view of all their struggle, and like you feel really bad about it, and like they're gonna make it, and they make it, but you still feel like kind of shitty on the inside too, because you're either like, man, I wish I had that person's willpower to do something like that, or you're like, God damn, dude, they went through so much shit just to get to where they're at, like blah blah blah. Like, this movie's like, hey, you thought you were here for a superhero film, but we're gonna ground you in some harsh realities, by the way.
Yeah, very, very true, and a fantastic job done by all. I had very little to nitpick. Okay, I'm enough trying to beat around it. We are into spoiler territory. If you have not seen the movie, do not listen past this point. Go see the movie. Come back, because we're about to break down the entire plot, but to talk about everything that happened in it from the beginning to the end. It's going to be spoiled for you. I cannot say that enough. Spoilers from here on out. I want to get that out there, because I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy. I mean, you already pretty much said Peter Parker dies, like, in your non-spoiler portion. I was like, you can't say a kid dies. There's only one fucking kid. Like, come on.
Yeah, man. I mean, I tried to, like, I don't know, lie the best I could in that.
No, you tried to pull a Marvel trailer. That's cool. That's fine. So to the trailer, just to the trailer itself, Hulk is in this movie for a total of like 2 minutes, and it's at the very beginning. And then he's not in it anymore. There are trailer shots of the entire team rushing, and he is in the background running with them. And it's like, he's not even in the fight. Like, Banner's in friggin' Hulkbuster. Like, why would you even cut him into that trailer? So it's like, so everybody who's a Hulk fan is like, yeah, it's just fucking it. I don't understand why they would do that in a trailer. I understand.
I'll have to go watch the trailer now that I've seen the movie to like even know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. So you're telling me like when there's like a scene where like the heroes are rushing, like they have
when
Hulk
they're in the woods, when they're in the woods, and during the fight at Wakanda, there's a shot of everybody rushing forward towards the camera. Black Panther, Captain America, Black Widow, and then in the background is Hulk. I'm like, no, he's not. He's not there. Like, what are you doing? Even, and later on in the trailer, like when Captain America catches the gauntlet, when Thanos swings at him and he catches the gauntlet, in the trailer, there's only 2 Infinity Stones in it. So, but this is the final fight, so he already has at least 5 of the 6. So, don't put that, like, yes, it's a cool shot, but now you've digitally edited out 3 of the stones to show, to like, he may not have all the stones yet. And it sends people like us, or not like us, because we don't do like trailer breakdowns and like talk about trailers for an hour like I see some shows on like YouTube doing. But you have these people creating hours and hours of content over a 30-minute lie that you told everybody. It's stupid. Like, it's dumb. You make good movies. You don't have to trick us. We're gonna go see them. I swear to you.
I don't know, man. Maybe it just gives them something to do.
You have plenty of great shots that you could pull. There's faces that you didn't see in the trailers that you could have seen. Thanos' children, the real ugly ones, the guy who looked like Squidward or whatever the guy is from,
yeah.
They didn't show, I don't think they showed any of those people in the trailers. If it wasn't like good shots of them. Show them. So the comic book is like, oh shit, that's blah, blah, blah. Oh, damn, great, cool. It's going to be, it's not just Thanos. It's Thanos and like his underlings and then this whole army of like, 4-armed things, or whatever they're called. I have it written down somewhere. I am not, also anybody who's new, I am not a comic book guy. I enjoy the Marvel movies. I love the era that we're living in right now, where they're not the dumb ones from the 80s and 90s. Like, I love comic book movies, but I did not read comic books as a kid. A, because I didn't have any money to buy comic books, and B, it just never was like my nerd. So it was, I knew of comics. I know who the people are. The main thing that pretty much everybody knows about comics, the main characters. That's all I know. Yeah. So just so you know, we're not the people who, I love listening to the podcast of people who are deep comic book fans. But then it's also like, it's kind of like when I'm a deep Star Trek fan and I know a lot about Star Trek, then when people who are on the upper crust start, it's like, no, but there's all this other shit. I could tell you 4 fucking hours of backstory about this one thing that happened. It's cool to see that level of nerd elsewhere than just when I do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, also too, though, like for like the general listener, like, it's almost overbearing nerd. It's like, shit, dude. Like, I got to be on your level just to appreciate what you're talking about now. Like,
right.
Fuck.
Right. But we all have our nerd that we're really hardcore into. So it's almost like I'll sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to hear this and I'm going to believe that you're telling me exactly what's true about this comic book that you've read 20 times or you have the whole collection of. But then like I actually just recently at a used bookstore in my area, they have comic books and normal books and all kinds of shit there. They were selling like 6-inch by, a comic book size box is like 6 inches tall for like $8 of just random comics. And I was like, I'm gonna pick up a few of those and like just flip through some shit. So I've got them. They are on my like, let me read list. I've read through a couple, but like, they're like weird no-name ones, not no-name ones, but not like, I'm not starting with Marvel because that's not. Well, I'll start with some of the Dark Horse stuff for some of the, the onesie-twosie.
Dark Horse has got like great shit. Wildstorm had awesome stuff, man.
Yeah, so it's I want, because I'm on these movies, like I want to like know more, but I'm not going to go back and buy hundreds of issues of this stuff. Like I know which comic books, like Infinity War is based off of, but I can't. I got kids, man. They gotta eat. I'm not buying a million comics to read the backstory for the people who write the movies to carry over one cell of that entire comic. And then the next, it's like, this one cell. Like when Bruce Banner gets sent to Earth, and he falls through, that's actually a shot that in the Infinity Gauntlet stories was Silver Surfer. He's the one who fell through the ceiling of Doctor Strange's the Sanctum Sanctorum and warned that Thanos is coming. That was Silver Surfer, but we ain't got rights to Silver Surfer right now. Yeah. So, and he's not anywhere in the Marvel Universe. So it would be weird if he fell through. But you can, those kind of things. I enjoy watching those nerd pull those things and tell me about them. I enjoy that. I'm like, oh, cool. That's awesome. I'm not
that's
gonna
like
read it.
Easter egg kind of stuff. Like that is cool. Like, but I'm saying like when you go down a rabbit hole of like, I don't know, like me when I used to build computers, like all of a sudden like getting into like nitty gritty, like what components of a fucking motherboard are called and bullshit. It's like, dude, after a certain point, like you could just reference motherboard, man. Like, cause we don't care about the timing you're talking about with your memory or any of that other shit. Like, we were here for like where the components go. You're going into too much detail.
Like motherboard, hard drive, RAM, processor. Like, I'm good. Like, what else do I need?
Yeah. You want a video card? Cool, go buy one of those.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm done. Or just buy yours from Costco already built, which is what I did, and which is now running our podcast and dual recording and also running video and my notes. Way to go, Costco. We'll take your, feel free to, hit us up. We'll take a promotion. We'll take a, what am I thinking about? Ad, whatever.
Sponsorship.
Pay us some money, Costco. Sponsor. There you go. You can sponsor us. It's fine, Costco. Or just make my annual thing free. Like, I want to stop paying for my annual membership. I'll take that perk too. I don't care. Anyways,
that's not a bad perk.
All right, so the first thing I want to bring up, because we have such a, I wouldn't call it a hatred, but now that I'm like listening to some other podcasts that kind of do the stuff we do, I always listen to their Ready Player One review, and I judge that podcast on their review of Ready Player One.
That's a good way to do it, man. Like, that'll sort out some bullshit real quick.
If you're going to gush over that movie, fuck you. That movie is not good at all. In fact, it's funny when you get a entire panel of people with the same nerd mind as me and you, and they're like, you can hear that they want to love it and they want to talk good about it, but then they tell you everything, like they're like, oh, it was good, but it really wasn't. And then they don't even know that they're like tearing the movie down, but before they've already done it.
Yeah, like the focus is the focus is shifted, and they don't even realize, like, man, you can't save this crumbling building,
But as we were talking, I looked up the total box office as of 5/1. It is May 1st, 2018 when we were recording this podcast, and Ready Player One has a total box office of $545 million. Avengers Infinity War, as of 5/1, or earlier this morning or whatever, has a box office take of $725 million.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere today that it's already broke the 800 million.
Has it today?
Yeah.
I took these notes this morning, so it may have done it by now. It has.
Yeah, I think I read something like probably about an hour ago or something like that.
Jeez almighty. I tweeted earlier today that, Disney, Star Wars, like they do these back and forth, and it's been going on since like Lucas Spielberg, like Jaws Star Wars days. Like they would send over a congratulatory note when one beat the other's record in the box office, like, biggest opening weekend or highest grossing movie of all time, those kind of things. They send each other like little notes with artistic drawings. Well, Star Wars, Disney, Lucasfilm tweeted or sent over a note. It's got a picture of Rey. It's Rey's hand holding the lightsaber, and Iron Man's hand is outstretched, gonna take it, and it says like "Congrats" from Star Wars and Disney and Lucasfilms.
That's cool.
Way to go, Marvel. Which is, and I tweeted, it's kind of like a self high five, because it's really Disney thing. Hey Disney, great job Disney on beating Disney and doing Disney things. So good job Disney. Like,
yeah,
it's like, I'm sorry. Is it how could you send that tweet with all of the stacks of money that you're trying to swim through just to get to your computer? Like, Jesus, you guys. I mean, just drop a movie. 1 month, make $1 billion. I mean, make $1 billion. It's like, get out of here. It's great. I mean,
yeah, dude, they're rolling in it, man. They got their own DuckTales piggy bank. They're doing all right.
Scrooge, what is his name? Scrooge McDuck? Is that who?
Scrooge McDuck, man.
He wishes he had Disney money. That guy was nothing compared to Disney.
I don't know, dude. He swam in gold coins.
He would have died diving in the first time, so only his heirs would have gotten that money.
Well, that's true. But somehow he survived. I'm just saying, dude, that was a lot of gold. It's a lot of gold.
So I guess you're saying it passed the $800 million mark. That's amazing. Had a budget of $300 to $400 million, which I don't know how you're off by $100 million in your budget, but who cares? It's like we're off on our tally of our budget by how much they gave the director of A Wrinkle in Time. The whole thing they gave her. So good on them. They made their money back. Of course, it's a cash cow. It's going to be a record-setting movie. And this is a type of movie that has never been done before. This is 10 years, 19 movies in the making to create this setting where everyone watched the movie, understands everyone, and understands this cast of 40 main characters. You know what I mean? They know exactly who everybody is.
It's insane. Like it's and watching your heroes die in a magnitude like this, man. Like it's unprecedented. Like you don't. I mean, you're used to maybe seeing like losing one guy from the crowd,
and usually like a secondary guy. That we kind of like,
not like there is no secondary dude in this. Like maybe Falcon.
I love Falcon, dude, just because he's a standard, just a normal vet who like.
Well,
has
that's what I'm
wings.
saying. Like, but I'm like, even then, like, you know, Falcon's got his backers. Like, War Machine's got his backers. Like, there are no slouches in this game. Like, you know, and there's no like, oops. There's just a bunch of guys that accidentally died in the crowd because they were rushing first, you know, or like, and your hero's back. Like, everybody that goes there is like fucking stats across the board are all A pluses. Like, there's no, I mean, he was a cool superhero, but
we could do
without him, you know, right? Yeah.
Well, okay, so, but you and I could both sit here and know that there were a couple of true deaths that happened before the final fight, that those folks may not be back, but it is a comic book movie at its core, so nobody's really dead. Now, whether they come back, whether they have the time stone, whether they turn time back, they could be in different universes, they could pull the same character, but from another timeline or another alternate universe, so you still have Spidey, but it's not the guy who made me cry in this movie. So it is Spidey, but it's not the one who turned to Ash. You know, there's all kinds of things. They're all coming back. They're not going to not come back.
Oh yeah,
but they've done,
like certain ones will come back.
I think they're all. Well, I have a great.
I think if we're just going to talk about who's going to come back and who's not, like.
Let's wait. You know what? Let's wait on that till the end. Because I actually have I want to call a scene in the next movie before it's even, I mean, it's in post-production, but I don't know anything about it. I have an idea in my head of what the scene's going to look like, and it's going to be amazing. But let's talk about our thoughts for the next movie and what's going to happen after it once we get through the movie. So let's get through the movie. Right. Real quick, we know who directed it, the Russo brothers. The guys who wrote the movie are the guys who wrote most, if not all, of the Captain America movies. So Civil War, Winter Soldier for sure. And I think one of them even was on the writing staff for First Avenger, Captain America First Avenger. But they didn't write anything else. Those are the ones they focused on, the writers of this movie. Critics are loving it, of course, except for Metacritic, who gives it a 68. So fuck Metacritic. But Rotten Tomato gives it an 84 critic rating. Fan rating is a 93, of course. IMDb gives it a 9, and CinemaScore gives it an A. All of those I completely agree with. It was a great movie. There's never a perfect movie. There's flaws, but this one, it's few and far between. Very little CGI that I pick up and go, boy, they just phoned that one in. Like, it looked like shit. There's only one scene late at the very end of the movie where Hulkbuster's all messed up, and like they ripped the head of it off, so it's just like floating banner head, like inside the robot. And that was the only time.
The banner head inside the robot was the only thing that, like, no matter where he was, like, even if it was just a standing scene of like him in the back being the big presence, you know,
and
like,
that's the scene I'm talking about.
Yeah, it looked weird.
Like someone, like, you didn't render it all the way.
Yeah, like, yeah, it was the only thing that looked off.
Yeah, and there was only that one scene. So I mean, other than that, I was paying attention to the CG, because I always like to pick on the CG, because when it's bad, when CG goes bad, things are noticeably bad. But so yeah, so let's get into the plot. So we pick up almost exactly after, or pretty much right after Thor Ragnarok, with all of Asgard on their ships, or that's where we at least see them. We hear a distress call, and it is after a giant battle on this ship. Thanos has destroyed everybody. We're down to like Thor and Loki. Heimdall is laying on the floor, wounded and or dying. Thanos has mentioned that he has decimated Xandar, which is where they left one of the stones, the Power Stone, with on Xandar. So that planet is like gone. That's the one that from Guardians of the Galaxy where John C. Reilly's character lives. That's Xandar.
Okay.
So they and it's not Meryl Streep, but the lady who was the president lady of the planet or whatever. Like that planet is gone from what he said, I believe.
Gotcha. I totally missed that.
I did too. People were talking about it later, and I was like, oh, good, because I only got to see the movie once. Because by the way, so we've been talking great. I hate going on a tangent, but we're already there. We've been talking great things about MoviePass up until last episode. Even fuck you, MoviePass. Fuck you hard, because you've changed your terms. You've changed the way things working. You didn't hold out. I know you're going in the red because you're the hot commodity, and everybody's going to go see every movie under the sun because they can. And now you've limited it to you can only see one movie one time. That's bullshit.
It's still not a bad deal.
I'm not saying it's not a bad deal, but I expected them to like you and I talked last week that your model's not going to make money until the shiny newness of what you are wears off.
Yeah.
So you gotta hang out into that, baby, and let us, and even the CEO was like, the unlimited movies is probably never coming back. And I was like, well, what's the fucking point now? Like, it's still great, but now I have to pay really, really, really hard attention to the movies so I can review them on this podcast. I can't go back later and watch it a second time. So and we got to take pictures of our stubs now, which I don't know how that's going to work. And you went and saw Avengers on Saturday before the changes. Yeah. So you didn't have to do it, but
yeah, I went Friday, so I didn't. There was none of the shit had kicked in yet.
Yeah, but the next movie we're gonna go see is Deadpool 2. So we'll let you know on the week of the 20th of May is when that podcast will come out with Deadpool 2, and I'll let you know how good or how bad MoviePass is. But to add these levels of I'm furious because, yes, was it too good to be true? Yes, it was. I completely agree with that. Go ahead. What are you going to just go ahead?
No, dude, it just, I'm like watching you, man. And it just like, I'm like, this is a person who's like angry at change. Like they changed something on like his favorite something.
App?
It doesn't matter.
No,
like,
this is not
doesn't matter like what it is. But like, I was like, he's just angry at the change.
There has to be a larger percentage right now of folks who are going to see movies in an unprecedented rate because of MoviePass. So of their subscriber base right now, the chunks of folks who are going to go see big movie after big movie time and time again. Yes, because it's summertime. But you know what happens after summertime? They stop releasing major movies. There's a Star Wars in the fall, and then you're good. Like it goes back to like normal onesie twosies. Folks aren't going to go see them again, and your bottom line goes up. And then yes, right now your name's getting big, so you're big and shiny, and then everyone's using you to the fullest extent they can. And then you go and do this, and I hope folks are unsubscribing. And yes, they can't subscribe back for 9 months. Oh well. It's just bullshit. I was loving how great it was and how I could go see a bunch of movies for $10 a month because we know we're getting charged an astronomical price at the theater and no one's going to the theater. I'm not going to the theater because it's friggin' expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never go to the theater if I have to pay full price for a ticket.
No, if I don't have MoviePass,
but even if I also won't go see a movie twice.
True. I mean, and yes, the only times I've done that have been few and far between. I dragged your ass to Annihilation and gladly went to see it again. And I went and I was planning on seeing Infinity Wars again with you, but they changed the rules in the middle of it. Like, you fuckers. Damn it. Like, I wanted to go see it again. Like, it's only some big movies that's happening to. And the people seeing them multiple times are only doing it, pretty much guys that do what we do, who want to talk about it for a show or for a podcast or for a YouTube channel or whatever. They have to see it over and over again so they can enjoy it the first time, take notes or pay attention the second time, and take notes in the back when no one's there the third time. You know what I mean? it's still fine. I'm still going to subscribe to it. So I may cancel out the part where I talk about that. I don't know. We'll see. I can delete shit because I run the audio. I do all the audio on this motherfucker.
I am God.
Right. Speaking of gods, so we have Thor and Loki and Heimdall and Thanos and his children, which are, I'm going to only say them once, Proxima Midnight, Ebony Maw, Corvus Glaive, and Bull Obsidian. It's almost like it's Pacific Rim again. Like those names are like those are names of of Pacific Rim robots. They really are.
Yeah, right, dude. Like their names are so ridiculous. That's why they're just like they're never referred to by name at all.
Right. They're like, oh, Maw. Like, oh, really? Your name's Ebony Maw, but you're going to call him just Maw. Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You're a nickname or you were Thanos' children. Like,
right. So Thanos has Thor beaten. Everybody's dead or decimated. Loki is bargaining for Thor's life and gives over the Tesseract to Thanos to spare Thor. But as he gives it over to him, he gets to utter the line that Tony Stark told him way back in Stark Tower. And he's like, well, but we have a Hulk. And then Hulk does a sneak attack. Mm-hmm. And so within the first 5 minutes, you have Thanos versus the Hulk. So, I mean, it's already like, okay, I could go home now because this is fucking cool. And it's a big old smash mouth brawl. Hulk's giving it to him. Thanos is doing it right back.
Yeah, but that's when like you get to see like Thanos' little crew off on the side and they're like, let him have his fun. And that's when you kind of get to understand of how
powerful,
insanely powerful Thanos already is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he could accomplish his end goal very easily, but it would take him time to do that. And really the whole point of him collecting all of these stones is so he can do it the quickest way possible.
Right, because he's done it before on Gamora's planet. Like, he does it planet by planet. He just kills half the planet, half the civilization of that planet, not of the universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, like, I mean, he's already been offing people. Like, this is basically essentially a kid learning that there's, like, a cheat code to get to the end level.
Right.
But to get to the end level and to enter the cheat code, you're going to have to jump through some other hoops, like get the timing right or whatever. So he's like, okay, that's fine. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to go concentrate all my effort on getting all these stones so then I can do this the laziest way fucking possible.
Right. He's like, I just want to retire. Like, I want to be done. Can we please just jump?
Yeah, he's
to
like,
the
I'm
end?
over this shit, man. Which is kind of true when you see him and like when you actually, because they do a good job of making you kind of understand Thanos.
I loved. Okay, well, first things first. This is Thanos' movie. This is not any of the Avengers movie.
No,
this is Thanos' movie.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like, okay, it's not kind of like Black Panther where you understood the villain and how he wasn't really the villain, but he was. I mean, this guy's still trying to kill half of life as it exists, but they do a great job of letting you know why.
Yeah, and they do a great job of that. And they also, like, and Thanos' reasoning behind it is one, like, justified. It's a madman reasoning, but it's justified. And two, like, killing a whole bunch of people's never a good idea. But I guess if you felt the need to do it and you were like, I'm going to indiscriminately kill half, like, I'm not even going to ask what you do, where you're from, who you are. Like, right. It is literally going to be pick a fucking side, or I'm going to walk down the middle and go in everyone on Maw's side. You're dead. Like, you know?
It's Ebony Maw, boss. It's Ebony Maw. Can you please use my full name?
You know, like, he just goes through and nonchalantly, non-discriminatorily just wipes you out.
Right. And part of your, like, lizard brain, like, listening to him explain it, you're like, God, you know, that really sucks if it's folks that I care about, but part of that kind of makes sense because, like he says, he's like, Gamora, have you been back to your planet since I took you from it? Because it's a paradise now. Like, no one wants for anything because half the people who were there aren't there anymore, sucking up the resources.
Yeah, no one's starving. No one's,
You're like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, you're like, God, that's really cool. This only is a bad idea when I think about people I like.
right. I mean, I have a whole list you could do if you want to make them disappear, and it'll make things much better for everybody. I guarantee you.
But in the context of like just straight better existing, Thanos has got a point, man. But when you break it down into like, but my dog may disappear? I love my fucking dog. You're going to tell me that you're going to maybe take away my dog? I don't have any guarantees that my fucking dog's going to survive this? Nah, not cool with it.
Right. And boy, do some folks not survive. And I guess I never wondered, is it only sentient beings that disappeared? And what defines sentiency over the universe? Or is it half of all living things? But does that mean half of like plant life go too? That's a rabbit hole to go down. But people.
Yeah, dude, I took it as anything that's like takes sentient? Up resources. Like, like if they're sentient in some way and like, but also, like, if they're a fucking cow, I'm just using Earth as an example, man. And like, I don't know, dude, like they're eating up resources too, but they're also a resource. So like, what category do they fall in?
Right. They never made that point, but I'm sure it's just sentient beings who consume and don't do anything other than consume.
True.
So yeah. Okay. All right. So anyways, the Hulk loses. The Hulk gets his ass kicked at the end.
Yeah, and the Hulk turns into a scared little bitch from that fucking point on.
Yeah, like performance anxiety to the nth degree for the rest of the movie. This is all you see of the Hulk, which makes me mad about the trailer, but that's fine. Heimdall uses the last of his powers before the last of his powers to send the Hulk to Earth with the Bifrost. He sends him. The Hulk takes off. We also forgot to mention that Loki gave over the Tesseract, and then Thanos also killed him. Or was that after the Hulk?
Well, that's because like Loki gives it over, but he thinks like it's a gimmick.
Yeah, you're right. Because so the Hulk gets beat. The Hulk's like laying there like beaten. Loki then hands the Tesseract over. Thanos crushes it, takes the Space Stone. There it is, right there in my notes. So Thanos takes the Tesseract and crushes it, takes the Space Stone, and then Loki tries to trick him or tries to kill him, gets caught doing it, and then he gets killed, gets his neck snapped. I
couldn't tell if he got his like neck snapped in space or like it was the life choked out of him or like they used the Space Stone because it looked like he sucked the air out of him.
No,
like when you see Loki laying there later, like he looks like someone who was like in space. Yeah, because like but I don't know. I've never been around too many broken necks. Not exactly sure what the face does after that.
They definitely made a noise. There was a sound effect that they used for when he was grabbing him by the throat. I'm gonna say he broke his neck, but it's Loki, so Loki has died more than once in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, and Thor even points that out.
Yeah, he's like he may be actually truly dead.
Yeah.
So right. So Thanos leaves. The Hulk is gone to Earth. They kill Heimdall, which sucks, man, because I like of all the characters who you see very little of, I like Heimdall. I like the actor that plays Heimdall, and it was like I was like, damn it. Like they're knocking people off.
Thought you were gonna make it, man.
Right. I was like, I had faith in you, buddy, but nope, he's dead.
But that's when you see like the first like killing of like, like those charts that are like lawful good, justified good or whatever. Right. This is the first like true good. Like Heimdall was just like a good dude. Like he was like, above all else, I'm gonna do the right thing, even if that makes me the bad guy for a moment. Like. This was Marvel's kind of like quick going like, we don't care how pure your character is. They may not survive this movie.
True. Which should have been foreshadowing for the rest of the movie. Like,
yeah, basically
that
was a good like, hey, we're going to show you a guy that you liked. Even for the brief moments in time he was on the screen, but you only knew him as a badass and a good guy. Well, he's dead.
Right. You have a bad guy, a truly bad guy, who had good intentions at times when it suited him, and a very good guy both die in the first 10 minutes of the movie. And you're like, well, this is how it's going to be. Let's get this shit over with. Let's just go.
Yep, just fucking keep kicking me while I'm down, man. Let's just keep it coming.
Right. So the ship self-destructs as Thanos and his children are leaving, and Thor is, of course, mourning and left behind as well. Hulk. So we're done with that scene. Thor is floating around in space. Hulk crash lands in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and reverts back to Bruce Banner. This is the part I told you about from the comics where it's Silver Surfer warning that Thanos is coming. That's all he says. Yeah. And so Doctor Strange and Wong are there. This is then, at this point, we move on to Tony Stark and Pepper Potts walking around, looks like Central Park in New York. And he's talking about, like, we should have a kid. And it's all this, like, I really want a kid type thing. We should name him. He says something. And from what I read, that's actually the name of, like, his uncle in the comic books. Like, the name he uses, like, Morgan, I think he said. Yeah. He's like, it's the name of his uncle in the comic book, so it's actually a name that has ties to the Marvel comics.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I love when they slip in little shit like that, where you're right. Like, only the nerdiest of the nerds are gonna fucking know about it.
Exactly. And it was cool to see Pepper Potts come back for at least just a few minutes, just for the sheer fact that, like, she was notably absent for a lot of the movies with Tony Stark in them. I don't know if it's because of contracts. I don't know all that details, but, like, she's back at least for this small scene.
Yeah, they're like, you can't use her face, but we'll give you her voice.
Right. Yeah, you're right. We'll use some pre-recorded stuff we did while she was still under contract. We can use that and just patch that stuff in. So Doctor Strange opens up one of those, transporter
hand portals? I don't fucking know.
Circle portals. Those come in handy very later, so we have to figure out a name for them before we get talking about the big Thanos fight. So they recruit Tony Stark. She's like, don't go. He's like, I kind of have to. Like, I got to go see what's going on. It's what I do.
It's what I do. I like that.
Yeah, right?
It's just what I do.
So Maw and Obsidian arrive in New York. This is a time where Stark has gone back to Sanctum Sanctorum, and while they're discussing this stuff with Banner, he reunites with Banner, and he's like, right when he's like, hey, you should probably call Captain America, and it's that whole fight, internal struggle of because they're still, hurting from Civil War, like they're not talking.
He's like, we're not really on speaking terms anymore.
Right.
He's like, the Captain, I don't just chat.
Right. So when Maw and Obsidian arrive in New York, those ones at the Sanctum Sanctorum go to fight them. But this is also when we pull Peter Parker into the mix too, because Peter Parker's in New York as well.
Yes.
So this I love. So you get your Stan Lee cameo playing the bus driver. Way too old to be driving a bus, by the way. He's 95. That is not safe whatsoever.
No, especially the way he was looking back.
What, your kid's never seen a spaceship before? But so Peter gets involved. So the fight, a good sized fight. We find this is the first time we see where Banner can't transform, and the comedy. I enjoyed the comedy for as feely as this movie got as it kept going. I enjoyed the comedy moments in this part where Stark's like, "Come on, man, Hulk out." He's like, "You're embarrassing me in front of the wizard."
Yeah. Tony Stark's character stayed true to form. He uses humor as his defense mechanism throughout the film, and even Thor and Drax talking to each other, just how out of tune they are, but also in sync at the same time with the people they're with. They're like, look, I may not get everything right, but I understand where you're coming from. Just the fact that he called Raccoon Rabbit the whole fucking movie. God. It's priceless. We need more power, Rabbit. It's great.
Yeah, the guys who do the comedy, and since Thor Ragnarok happened and everybody was cool with the buddy comedy aspect of that, it's cool because the past 4 or 5 Marvel films have been genre style movies set in comic books characters. So Thor Ragnarok was a buddy comedy.
Yeah. No, like, well, it's
Spider-Man
also like
Homecoming was a teen drama.
Yeah, well, and it's also their way of like using the movie molds to also introduce mass amounts of people like individually. Like not like more per film, should I say, not individually, like everybody's got their own film, but they're like, okay, if we're gonna use like say Peter Parker in the teen, like who's gonna mesh well with this world? Tony Stark.
Right.
Because he's the guy that somehow bridges that gap. right? Like you know, he can talk the lingo.
Exactly. But it's cool to see them they just weren't all like cookie cutter comic book style. Hero finds villain has a plan, hero defeats villain after a big boss fight, move on to the next movie. Like having them set as different style movies and things you weren't expecting to see. I think that's why this has become A, so successful, and B, this movie felt like perfect by the time we all got to it. It was like, we're ready for it. We've been ready for it. Hit us with it. Like, we'll take it.
Yeah,
I don't need any plot.
Like, no, like they managed somehow to cultivate us all and make us all understand that we were waiting, and like they did a great job of what they brought us. Like, you know, it was timed perfect, I guess you could say. Like they like whoever wrote this timeline was like, if we exceed this date, the boiling point will have happened.
People won't care anymore.
We will be done. It is over. We have to give them all what they need by this time, otherwise we're gonna fucking lose them.
Right.
And now they basically brought us all in and go, here it is. We took away so much too. Now we're all left with, what are you going to do? What are you going to do for us?
What you've been waiting for, it's almost there. Because you thought you're going to get this movie, but you're going to get it in May of 2019, because it's going to be the final part of this movie. Like, it's not that it's one big movie cut in half. This is Thanos' story. You know it wasn't going to end. It's not going to end well. Like, it's not going to end on a high note. And you know that there's another half of the war coming, the Infinity War. And in fact, they were going to name it like Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2, but they've actually, now it's been reverted back to an unnamed Marvel project because they won't title it yet, because they said, the Russo brothers said that the title is going to be a spoiler to a certain extent. So they want to let everybody sit on this movie for a while before they even release the title of the next movie.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, this movie has so much to ingest anyways. Like,
they're calling this the Empire Strikes Back of Marvel, where it was not a happy ending. Things were not good, and everybody's kind of left with on like a, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's like, I think you got to do that to the people, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
we deserve that.
Yeah, like, if you're going to build something of such grandeur, like, it's got to be able to, like, sting us. Like, you know, like, and because that's the only way you'll keep us coming back. Like, I don't care how great something is. If you give them good shit after good shit after good shit, like, bad guy beats good guy, or, you know, fucking one time, but it's only in that one movie.
Right.
And you're like, okay, well, he's just going to bounce back for the sequel. Like, we all know he's going to pick himself up and dust off and be like, all right, I got to go up my game now. Like, this was, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, you left me with so much what the fuck and what if, like, how can they, how are we, like, what will we, like I'm all part of the team now. Like, yo, man, put me in the fucking seat, dude. I'm going to help you finish this bitch out.
Right. Yeah. No, it was so well done. Just everything, just the way I love it not being I love that it wasn't a happy wrap up at the end. The fight wasn't even over at the end. You know, the best part that makes me excited is that the boss villain thinks the fight's over, which makes it even better. You know what I mean? Because you know that, like, it's going to be this. How do the good guys get the gauntlet, and how do we use this to then bring back all the newbies, everybody that died?
Yeah.
Because
how do we bring everybody back and wipe out Thanos at the same time? Because he's got to go.
You've got to go, bro. Sorry, you cannot be hanging around anymore. So All right, we'll get to some of our speculations at the end. We are in Scotland. Red Witch, Maximoff, Wanda Maximoff, and Vision. They are noticeably deep into their relationship. It's not like this "our will we won't we" type thing we've seen in the past. Like, they are definitely together. So we, the time difference between this movie and the last movie, we know that they're together. While they're out at night, they get ambushed by Midnight and Glaive. There's a pretty good fight that starts. Vision gets wounded, like hardcore, like stabbed through the side, like wounded. And we're like, oh shit. And then this probably has to be the fucking badass ballerous reveal in the entire movie. Like when he chucks that spear and it's deflected and Steve Rogers catches it in the dark and you're like, who the fuck is that? And like he walks into the light, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, but I also I didn't do that because I was like, there's only one person that could, because they make a comment earlier that like maybe Steve Rogers would know where he's at. Like they're like, maybe Captain would know where he's at. So like immediately I was like, well, anything to do with Vision right now is just a prelude to us being introduced to Captain.
True.
Like, that's the, like, so like I wasn't like, oh, it's fucking Captain. I was more like, yo, man, they made Vision kind of a bitch. Like, remember when he almost picked up Thor's hammer? Did everybody
when he did pick it up?
Well, like you know what I'm saying? Like, did everybody forget about that? Like, I feel like, okay, maybe Thanos' children are supposed to be like super badass. I get that. They're all like 8 fucking feet tall, by the way.
Right.
But this is Vision, man. Like, Vision in all reality could pretty much fuck up every Avenger if he wanted to.
Right. And let's not downplay Wanda Maximoff either, because at the end of the movie, she is holding back Thanos with almost a completely completed gauntlet while also destroying her boyfriend's stone at the same time.
Yeah, well,
she is the most powerful thing on that field.
Yeah. No, she definitely is. And it was one of those things too, because you find out that like there is a mutant who can break one of these things. Mm-hmm. Like not hold it, not control it, not just flat out fucking annihilate it. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like that should have been the game plan from the get-go. Like, okay, hey, Vision, we're going to put you under the ground into some cell under some steel fortified thing, just armed with the mightiest people standing outside that door. We're going to go fly somewhere else real quick on one of these stones that hasn't been caught yet. And we're going to go destroy it and just fucking end the whole thing real quick.
Right. Exactly. Why are we not sending Wanda everywhere? Like, yeah, Wanda,
right?
go do things.
Yeah, dude, like go destroy shit.
Take your corset, get the fuck out there.
Right?
Do your shit.
Go fight in the most impractical gear out there.
Hey, she's wearing way more practical gear than she does in the comics. Trust me. I kind of wish she was wearing what she was in the comics because I'm a man, and I would not say no to her outfit from the comics. Let's just put it that way.
No, I wouldn't say no to any superhero's outfit from the comics, man. Like, they're all just either well endowed in every aspect or they're just cool looking.
Right.
I'd be like, yo, man, that's cool. We can hang out. Like, there's no Mr. Incredible scene where they're like, no capes. Because everybody with a cape's a fucking jackass.
Right. All right. So fight Steve Rogers, Black Widow, and Sam Wilson, Falcon. They gather in the fight and fend off Midnight and Glaive, and then they head off to the Avengers facility in upstate New York. So they're there. Rhodey is there in his like legs, like Lieutenant Dan style. Like he's like, Lieutenant Dan, you got legs.
I was thinking, dude. I was laughing in my head because that's all I was thinking.
Is that the right line? Do I say it right? That's not even the right line.
I don't even know. It doesn't matter. I knew exactly what you were talking about, though.
I'm gonna tweet the scene on you. I'm sure it's on YouTube. Just the clip of him saying "you got legs" or whatever. I'm gonna tweet it because that's what it felt like when they were. I was like, "Oh, Rhodey," and he looks bad. Like I don't know if the actor is like losing weight for a movie or if like he's just on like a cleanse, but like he looked like emaciated. I'm like, is Rhodey emaciated or is the actor emaciated? Like I don't know, but like you look really bad, bro. Like you don't look good. I'm worried for you. I like you. I loved you in Boogie Nights, bro. Like I'm just saying, like, what's wrong, man? You need some help? You need a burger or something? Like, I don't know.
Looked a little too thin for you?
Yeah, like it just didn't look healthy. Like I don't know if it's one of those situations where like, oh, I'm prepping for this role where I'm playing somebody who has an eating disorder and like I have to be super skinny and it's gonna suck for 6 months, but whatever.
Dude, he probably did that thing where he like drank a ton of water for like 20 days before like the movie, and then like during every one of his scenes he didn't drink like 2 days before. And so, like, all of his skin was sucked to his muscles.
Yeah, but except that's not his. Like, he's a paraplegic, so it's like you don't need to have muscles, buddy.
Yeah, but like, they're not. I don't know. Whatever. I guess.
I don't know. That was just a side note. I was like, oh man, you don't look real good, man. I don't know what to tell you. So sorry. Yeah, it threw me off for a minute where I was like more concerned for the actor. Like I'm like, what's Don Cheadle's, right? Is that right? Am I wrong with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Don Cheadle's. Like I was like, Don, like you okay, buddy? Like, is there something we need to be worried about? Like I don't need anybody doing, dropping dead in the middle of the movie and recasting people. Be like, I don't want to do that stuff.
Nah, man, he's just getting older, dude. He's probably making dietary changes to live longer, and he's not eating fucking burgers and shit all the time and living hard.
That's too bad. Oh well. Okay. Well, we'll go with that because I feel I worry for him. So this is the point while they're at the Avengers facility where Vision's like, look, you need to destroy my stone. Like you need to destroy it, and to Wanda Maximoff, and she's like, I can't do it. It's all that whole like, lovers, like I can't, I love you, blah, blah, blah. We're together. It could kill you. We don't know. And then Captain America. So Steve Rogers is like, well, if we don't want to do it where it's just going to blow up your face, let's travel to the one area that has a technology who could probably safely remove the stone and not kill you. And that's how they get this group to Wakanda, which I loved the way they got people who haven't been together before together or together since other movies. Like the way it didn't feel forced to me.
No, there was a great flow to it. Like definitely like, yep, that makes sense. Why would you go anywhere else? That's the only place you should go.
Wakanda literally has the best technology ever of all the world.
Yeah, it does.
So that's the end of them. That's the end of that scene when they're like, okay, we're gonna go to Wakanda. Cool. Now we are back with so this is when the Guardians meet Thor, which might be my favorite scene of the entire movie.
Really? Okay.
Just because. So the first things first, like Thor is floating in space and like smashes up against their windshield of their ship.
Yeah, I mean that was great, and like he has one eye looking at him.
Right, and so they pull him in. He's unconscious, and like the way that like Gamora's like his arms are like his muscles are like sewn from the steel of some fucking planet. So I was like, and just watching Quill, like Peter Quill, just get more and more upset, and then when he switches to Thor's voice.
Yeah, did you make your voice deeper? No.
This is how I always sound. That was the best. Like just that whole interaction up into when they split and go their different.
I like when he's like, "No, you're a dude. That is not a dude. That is a man."
What, Drax, right? Drax is like, no, he is a man.
You're a dude. That is a man.
Yeah, that whole scene was, it's right in the middle of the movie. It's light, it's a little bit like where it kind of gives you that like relax before it's like you're riding the coaster, and it's right as you get to the top of the coaster and you're getting ready to like go over the hill and hit all the crazy shit. It's the very top where you're like, oh, it's so pretty up here. That's what that was. That's what this scene was.
Oh yeah, dude, this was definitely like, hey, we know you've been on the edge of your seat, or you've been flexing and like, oh shit, something's about to go down, but it never quite does. It's always just a little bit. This was like, hey, chill out. We're here for you. Calm down. It's okay. We're gonna bring you back. Just slow it down. Slow it down.
Right. And so,
because everything in this interaction was fucking funny from the moment he's like
smashed
jumped
against
out
the
of the
window.
bed and like, yeah. Basically, as soon as the two groups met, it was comic gold.
Mm-hmm. And Rocket gives him an eye that he apparently smuggled in his ass, like to get it out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, ooh, you probably should have watched that before you stuck it in.
Yeah.
So anyways, for the plot, Thor says, okay, I'm taking the rabbit and the tree, and we're going to go, I need a new weapon. So he's taking Rocket and he's taking Groot. And they're heading off into, oh boy, I knew I was going to say this, Nidavellir. I'm going with that. They're going to the forge that his original hammer Mjolnir was made. They're going back to the forge to make himself a new weapon.
Yeah, apparently a new, bigger, badder weapon.
Nidavellir. Everybody who knows comics is shitting on me right now, but I'm sorry. I'm looking at the word. I don't even know what it means. So Thor is going to the forge, and that leaves Quill, Gamora, Drax, and Mantis to travel to Nowhere, where they know that the Reality Stone is being kept by the Collector. So that's the split. They're gone. They both go off in their separate directions.
Yep. I was trying to think if we missed anything in there.
Not really. It was all comedy.
I was
like
about to say, I was like,
ship.
it's actually like a good solid 10 minutes of just funny conversation.
Right. And that's the part where Thor's like, my brother's dead, but he may be. I mean, there was actually, I don't want to play it all as emotional. There was some good stuff where Thor was like, I'm pretty sure my brother's really dead this time.
Yeah, but even then you still had like Peter Quill going like, yeah, I lost my mother too. Like, like there was still like trying to one up each other in the death category. True.
Yeah, it was. You're right. So maybe it was comedy gold for like 10 straight minutes. But of the guys of this entire team of cast of 45 main characters, that was the group that needed to do it right there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's just absolutely perfect. So Thor takes off. We don't see him for a little while, but we follow Quill, Gamora, and Drax to Nowhere. It looks normal to them. They pull in, they park their ship, they get out, they hear some stuff. Thanos is talking to the Collector. They try to ambush him. He reveals that he has already destroyed Nowhere, that what they saw was just him with the Reality Stone making their reality different. This is where
you see Gamora. So remember they go into Nowhere, and it has that like too eerily quiet feeling, right? Because there's not a whole lot going on.
Like, where is everybody? Yeah.
Yeah, where is everybody? And they go in there, and they are going to collect the stone, and they realize what's going on, because this is where Gamora kills Thanos the first time, and you think she fucks him up. And this is where he comes back, and it's not all reality. You still have feelings. He's like, because she starts weeping that she killed him, and that's when he snaps out of it.
Right. Okay. But that's after. Correct. They come at him because he was interrogating the Collector as a ruse for them, and then Drax rushes him. Mantis rushes. He turns Drax into blocks. She turns to Ribbon.
This is after he reveals.
Is that after?
Yeah. Because like Quill's like, all right, you go left, you go right, and like Gamora, or he's like, or go left, and she basically goes out there on her own and stabs him with the knife from the flashback.
Okay, all right. I don't know which. Yeah, I forget. Like I said, I only got to see it once. Thanks, Movie Pass. and then that's where you hear Thanos' voice come in from kind of like the background, where he's like, reality's not all as it appears or whatever, and you see actual Thanos like walk through, and you see the Collector like clapping, and he disappears and all that shit, and realize that he's already had the Reality Stone, so that's
Gamora just didn't kill Thanos, but she still has some kind of connection to him.
Correct. Okay, I got you. So he has her Drax and Mantis rush. He turns them into like that
putty and sand. What? Yeah, dude.
Well,
like some weird shit.
He was a block. He was like blocked out, and she was turned into like ribbons, and that was disturbing. Like to me, like that disturbed me to watch it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it also gives you an insight to the stone itself because as soon as he leaves, they start coming back.
Correct.
So it's kind of like there's not like an infinite hold on it.
Right. But it's definitely, and that also is from the comics as well, by the way. That ribboning and the blocking happened in the comics as well. But it's like watching that, I was like, ooh, that's just like, it's just kind of scary. Like it was just like, I was just like uncomfortable.
Yeah, like I wouldn't want to be any part of that. Nope.
And this is where he makes Quill kill, or he says, if you kill her, you know, what does he say? What is the whole point of like him telling, you know, if you kill Gamora?
Well, this is where Quill comes in and he has a gun like pointed at Thanos, and then he makes some comment like you have it pointed at the wrong person or something like that, and that's when Gamora's like me, and then you have the whole like, oh shit, is Quill about to kill Gamora, blah blah blah, and like Thanos like walks her up because she's got him and like puts Gamora like right in front of Quill, and then you see Quill make the conscious decision to kill her even though he loves her, and then all of a sudden bubbles come out of the gun.
Right.
And that's when Thanos was like, I like you.
Well, but you know what, the problem I have with it, and this is where the movie becomes just a little bit, this is one of the issues I have with the movie. So if he has already made the conscious decision in his head, like he went through the anguish in his head that he was going to pull the trigger and end her. Whether or not it happened, he pulled that trigger. So when he fucks up later on in the movie, he should have been able to hold on a little bit longer before he freaked out.
Oh yeah, dude, like he ends up being like the worst character in the fucking movie. He basically just makes everything
worse,
go to shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So if this hadn't been in the movie, this part where he pulls the trigger, it would be more perfect for me, because you are truly hurt, but you've already gone through this anguish of she's dead or I'm about to kill her. So yeah,
but I mean, I guess it's still, I mean, in this case, different every time because they didn't actually die. So you still in your head now go, I have a chance. Like now I have to get her back. And so later when, you know,
he finds out she's dead,
like it is for real. Like that real shock and awe. Like he went through the, like, I'm going to pull the trigger. And so that emotion you saw him go through would have happened after that. But he never got the chance to have it happen because bubbles went off and he was like totally what the fuck is going on? And just went back into now I have to find her mode.
Right. Well, I see your point, but I don't agree with it.
I mean, I just gotta picture myself in those shoes. Like if I had to kill my wife to save the world and it didn't work out that way, and then I had a chance to, well, what I thought was a chance to save her the whole time, and then come to find out that the dude I could have killed maybe at the get-go killed her, I would be highly pissed off. Like, I don't really think I would have a whole lot of rationing going on in my head of, well, this is for the greater good. At that point, I'd be like, yeah, fuck the greater good, man. Like, I don't care. Because, again, it gets back to that Thanos' idea is really not a terrible idea when it comes to just sustaining life. But Peter just went through but you took away someone I like, I love, I care about. So it just boils down to pure rage at that point. It's not, this idea is only bothersome when you bring it to the idea of, well, what if it's people I like? Like, what if it was my child, or what if it was my son, or what if it was my wife or my parents or somebody like that? Not like you. Like, what? Like, I could live without you, dude. I love you. I love you, man. But like, at the end of the day, like, if you were blinked out of existence,
your life would go on.
What the fuck? But life would go on. Like, you know. But when you boil it down to the people you truly don't know what to do without like your children or your wife or I don't know, maybe your parents or somebody like that. Just someone that is that deeply rooted in you. Like there's no stopping or telling what would happen. Like some people may shut down. Peter Quill just fucking leaked out in rage and ruined everything. You know? But like, again, it brings that whole idea of, and it kind of makes you understand Thanos a little better. You're like, I get it, man. This really isn't that bad of an idea when I just think on the grand scale of things. But when you start taking away people I like, I got a fucking problem with it.
Right. Yeah, true. I just think he's already made the decision once to end her, and then when she finally is ended, he had like for the movie to happen the way it does, for the plot to work, he has to freak out and Thanos has to keep the glove. But they had it. Like that would have been like the end of the movie. Take the glove off, he doesn't have it, they go away, he's good to go. Like that's the end of the movie. Of course Thanos had to keep the glove. It was just a little bit sloppy in my point of view. It was a little bit sloppy.
I liked it because, like I said, man, like, again, he made the decision the first time. It was him who made it, like, he made that choice. It was that choice was taken away from him. Like, he was doing the greater good at that moment in time, and it was her staring at her, or staring at him, and he's like, okay, I'm going to do it. This is my last look. But then again, he got hyped back up into, like, I can save her. And he never could. And he didn't get that chance.
I see your side. I don't see the reason why he couldn't have waited till they got the glove and then literally just had a field day on his face for the next hour.
Well, because that's the whole point of it, man. Like,
I know, it's for the plot.
In love. It's blind. Well, it's for the plot, but it's also blind rage. Dude, okay, you're telling me that if you were a mere special person, because like Peter Quill is like cool and all, but he's not all like superhero-y.
He's got God in him. He's got some God in him.
But he's still like, for the better shot, a headshot away of being nothing.
Agreed.
Right? Like he can't withstand bullets or do anything. He's probably one of the most human characters there is in this thing.
Right.
Who happens to be with a bunch of, outside of
Black Widow
and Hawkeye, like who are just genetic freaks, because that's the only explanation for them. Like, dude was in love, man. So you're telling me that, like, if Thanos came in and was like, stole your wife after you consciously made the decision to end her, and then all of a sudden you found out that, like, she's just gone from you now, there's no chance of it, you're not going to look over at that glove and go, I can hold on to this rage for 5 more fucking seconds.
Honestly, yes. I could wait. Be like, okay, save the universe. Now I'm going to fuck you in the ass with that glove. Like, literally gonna fist you with the gauntlet, like, because you fucking killed my wife. Yeah, that's... If this scene hadn't happened the way it played out, the one we're talking about now, not the taking the glove off, but just like where Peter Quill had already faced the decision and made the choice in his brain to end her, I would have completely believed the later on scene where he takes the glove off, where he loses it before the glove is off. That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah, but I'm just saying
humans aren't wired that way.
Right, but he's... Other than being human, he's not raised human.
Yeah, but he's also not raised to, like, and he's also one of the most emotional people in that whole group because of his situation with his mother and being taken.
Yes, but
so again, you're getting back to something being taken from him. Like, I'm just saying, he's the most...
Without his control.
Yeah, like, unstable character to be in that situation. Like, if anybody's gonna flip off the fucking rails, it's gonna be the Star-Lord. Like, I feel like every other superhero out there on the field has been tested in that way a little bit to some point. You know, like, every one of them has lost someone or has had someone snatched that they got back. Right. Like, so they've kind of all went through that. Like, Peter Quill is like the only dude that was just kind of like, I was taken as a kid, my mom died, and I grew up with these crazy space people, and I've been doing weird salvaging and fucking thievery things my whole life. But he's really never had it that bad, like that rough. Like he's never, like, his mom was taken from him, but that was as a child. And so that always stuck with him. And now he fell in love again Like, he's had love for the first time. Like, and that shit was taken from him.
That he chose to end
You know,
to save humanity. That didn't have. Okay, all right. We could literally. Okay, we're not going to agree on this. So
No, I mean, it goes back to that me against the world. Are you with me or are you with the world?
right.
You know, and like, Quill was with her. Ride or die, bitch. Like, he was ready to go.
Hoes
He
before
didn't care-
bros. Fuck the world.
Yeah,
We're
man.
fucking out
He
here.
didn't care about anything else, man.
Okay. I see why it had to happen. I understand the plot of the movie. He had to fail. That had to fail. It was the part that kind of bugged me. That was all. That's all I'm getting to.
It's like, I just wanted to say it bothered me a little bit, man.
yeah.
I mean, thank you for your
Jesus.
fucking input.
Thank you for 20 minutes ago talking. All right, so
This is why our podcast lasts so long.
I know it is. Welcome to the Two Dads View. It's going to take 2 hours, and this movie's going to take probably this is definitely going to pass our standard hour and 49 minutes that we end up a podcast being. But it's okay. I don't care. Thanos and Gamora travel to they go back to where he is keeping Nebula and torturing her. Like bad, like hardcore torturing her, like she's like spread out, like literally spread out in that room. Like he has her.
Yeah, she looks like one of those models that you see like in the museums where they're like exploded. You know, like it's like a bird and it's like all of its bones and everything like stretched out. Like that's essentially what she was, and only still breathing and feeling every part of it.
Yeah. Thanos lets Gamora know that he knows where the Soul Stone is because he tortured Nebula enough for her to tell him. So Thanos and Gamora travel to the planet where the Soul Stone is, and Nebula escapes her torture. Kind of in the same, they kind of cut back and forth, if I remember correctly. They cut back and forth from that happening.
Yeah, because this is where Thanos is like, you know, basically like, you're fighting me, your intelligence me, but you're lying. I never taught you to lie. And like, this is where you get this here like parenting from Thanos. Like, and again, like it like they do a good job of making you almost kind of feel for Thanos,
right?
A little bit. Like, you're like, yeah, dude. I mean, you're still going about it a real fucked up way. Like, some counseling, maybe you could get this out. I don't know, but like you could tell like they did a good job of building that weird bond between Gamora and Thanos.
Mm-hmm. And
you know, like where he's like, I may have been these things, but I never taught you like to lie. You know, like it's going like, damn, dude, like you're fucked up, but at least you're going, hey, I was honest about it. Like, I told you what was going on. This is how it is, you know, or it just was kind of neat to me to watch that interaction, you know,
right.
Especially after you see her like crying from like taking him down.
Well, yeah, and somewhere in here we get, I don't know where exactly it was in the movie, but we get the flashback to like how he met her. It was actually before she stabbed him with the knife way back on Nowhere. But we see like where he was at her planet and she was a child, and he truly cared for her and saved her. And, you know, they killed 1/2 of the planet's population. He kept her. He gave her like the whole scene where he was with the child Gamora was truly like you saw something other than the villain that he was.
Yeah. Like you saw a person that cared at the same time, like totally believes what he's doing is for the greater good, you know, and he's like, and I understand that I'm the only one that can carry this burden.
Right.
I've accepted that, you know, like I know what I'm doing is not right, but it's what needs to be done to save everybody.
Right. Nebula, so just to get Nebula out of the way, when she escapes her torture, she signals the Guardians to meet her on Titan, which is Thanos' home planet?
Is that correct?
Yeah. So now we're at the scene. So now we're with Thanos and Gamora on where the planet where the Soul Stone is. And we get to see Red Skull, which is pretty awesome Like that was cool because that was one that like everybody was like, oh shit, Red Skull, that's where you went at the end of, you know, Captain America: First Avenger.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in 12 years. Damn, that's where you've been.
Yeah, right. How long has it been since we saw your movie that we kind of watched a little bit? But the cool thing, well, number one, Hugo Weaving that was not Hugo Weaving. Like, it was not the guy from The Matrix. It was a guy who is currently on Walking Dead, Ross Marquand, and he's not only a great actor, he is a great impressionist. So he was doing his Hugo Weaving impression of Red Skull. Like, and I think Hugo Weaving actually based his Red Skull character off of someone else. So it was really Ross Marquand doing Hugo Weaving doing someone else.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm a dude playing a dude just as another dude.
right. So good on him. It was convincing to me. I could tell it wasn't the original actor, but I was like, well done. That was pretty cool.
I think with that moment, like, not saying they could have put anybody in Red Skull, but it was just the fact that you were like, oh shit, that's Red Skull.
Right.
Like you didn't care. You just didn't care. You're like, that was cool.
Absolutely. So this is the part where Red Skull explains that to gain the Soul Stone, you have to give a soul. And it has to be something that you care and love to gain the stone. And this is where Gamora thinks she has him. She's like, there's nothing you love at all. Like, you can't get the stone because there's nothing you could give that you love. You love nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, this is where you're wrong. Like, and he snags her by the throat and throws her over the cliff. It's like,
you see him kind of like dragging her, and like there's a fight, and like her coming to the realization, because, you know, Red Skull's like, those tears aren't for him. Right. You know, like, they're for you. Yeah. Like, he's crying for you, knowing that he has to kill you.
Because she makes it. She's like tears, like fake tears for what? Like, you know, tears because you lost, because you can't get to so. Yeah, that was a great. This was one of the scenes where, like, I'm not getting teary because I'm not connected to the characters like I probably could or should be. But it was like, I was like, that's really well done. Like, I was like, that sucks for you. Like, how do you not see this coming? How do you not know that he actually does love you in his own twisted way?
Yeah, well, you know, like, I mean, I think that was the way that they, like, it's so hard to show that I guess, upbringing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because even when she killed him, she cried.
Right.
And, like, she wept. So you know she loves him in some weird, fucked up way.
Mm-hmm. Like,
hey, dude, you would actually be really cool in my book if maybe my whole life you didn't just go around wiping half of everything. You know, like, you actually weren't that bad of a person.
Right.
And seeing Thanos, like, break down and realizing, like, almost no matter what I did was never going to be good enough for you, but knowing that, like, I love you and I'm doing this for you in a weird, fucked up way, like, you know, it's you just don't expect that from a villain.
Right.
Right? Like, you know, you're like, nah, dude, you're just supposed to be mean. Like, I'm just supposed to hate you. Like, I'm not supposed to second guess the shit you're doing.
Right. I'm not used to the past two Marvel movies, like, me understanding the villain. Like, wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Black Panther and this. It's like, I don't completely not hate the villain. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, both those movies, it's there's parts of the villain where you're like, I understand where you're coming from, and I don't know why I don't know about this.
Yeah, like, if I was in your shoes, would I necessarily say that I wouldn't be doing the same thing?
Right. So he gets the Soul Stone. So Thanos has another stone, yet another stone. I'm not even keeping count. At some point he'll have all 6, but right now he has however many he has with the Soul Stone. So back when Strange was taken by Maw is torturing Strange currently. And this is they're like as they're leaving. Let's see. I think during the scene, like during the fight when they captured Strange, that's when Peter Parker and you got to see Iron Man's like thrusters and shit. Like, they got to the spaceship and like snuck their way into the spaceship. You know, he tried.
Yeah, they both caught it before it like was in quote unquote space.
Right? And that was back during the fight earlier in the movie, correct? Not now. It was back during the earlier part. Now they're in the ship planning to break out Strange.
Yeah. And then this is because earlier is also like, and it's like it's not a key scene by any stretch of the imagination, but this is also where you see Tony Stark send out Spidey's new suit,
his Iron Spider suit. Yeah, which is fucking awesome. And so Stark and Parker are working on like their plan to break to like, you know, get to free Strange from Ma's torture.
Yeah, because this is when Tony's like, "What are you doing here?" And Peter was like, "Well, I was all set to go. Like, I jumped off and I was shooting some webbing and I got stuck, and you know, and like he's like doing this like a little bullshitted kind of excuse, but in a like a superhero-y way, like you know, going like, I didn't want to leave,
right?
You know,
I got stuck and I figured you need some help, so I'm right here. I'm here right now.
Yeah. You're gonna kind of have to deal with it.
Like their dynamic is magic. Like Stark and Parker's dynamic is magic. So, and this is also the scene where Parker. This happened in it was Civil War, where he's like, "Hey, remember that old movie Aliens?" Like in this movie, he's like, "Remember that old movie Aliens?" He's like, "Let's do that." Like to get rid of the bad guy. And like in Civil War, he's like, "Remember that old movie like Empire Strikes Back?" Like, let's do that, you know, where they were going around, where he was like tying up his legs and shit. So it's just, I love like, of all the Spider-Man iterations we've seen in the past 20 years. So you know, the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans and then the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Like this kid is fantastic as Spider-Man. Like he is actually a high schooler, you know, playing the role. It's perfect. It's great.
Yeah, no, he nails it. Like he's a great Spider-Man. It's much better than Toby.
But then Toby or the other guy.
Other guy, Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield, that's correct. Yeah.
I didn't mind him as Spider-Man either, but again, it's like, and like I don't like Tobey Maguire as an actor in general. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's great. He never looked like a high schooler.
Right.
I mean, he never looked like a kid. Like, you know, like, and then.
Don't get me wrong. Tom Holland is 22. Actually, let's see. He was born in 96. So he's 22.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But like, even at 22, Toby didn't look 22. Like, he looked like he'd already been drinking and smoking a little bit, and, you know, and been around the block a few fucking times.
Right.
Like, he just happened to have like a younger face, but you knew that once the cameras went off, he was at the bar. Mm-hmm. Like Tom, you could actually see him still going home to his mom and dad because he has a curfew. Like he still looks like he could fit that category, but he plays a mature enough teenager, right? Like he's like, oh, I'm the perfect teenager because he literally is. Right. He's like, hey, I can do adult things and still be young and fun about it.
Right. He was definitely at 18 when they were filming this movie because it was probably 2 years ago when they were filming it, like 2016. Yeah. So good for him. I mean, he plays it great, and I can't wait for the next Spider-Man movie. I can't wait for him throughout the rest of this next section of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like he is one of the highlights, personally, in my opinion. Fanboy, yeah. So they break out Strange. They send Ma into like space, like in Aliens when they shoot the Queen out into space. You get to see.
Can we talk about how badass Ma is though?
With his like telekinesis and shit.
Yeah, dude. Like he like fucked some people up, man, and like you could tell he was a real sadistic dude. Like he looked the part, you know, when he's like exclaim yourselves in front of Thanos and be spared. Like he just looks like all I could think of was like him walking down and going, shame. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he just was a creepy dude.
Yeah. He was definitely the cocky badass of the group that got too cocky. Like, you're so good at all this other stuff, but you just forgot about.
Well, he even points it out, and he's like, you know, in all of my time with Thanos, I've never once failed him. Like, and he's like, this is not about to be the time, and then whoop,
out the door,
out the side hatch you go, the trip in space,
and you get to see Spidey's got the legs on his suit that come out. That's sweet. And then he actually says, "What are those?" Like she did in Black Panther, like Shuri did. Is it Shuri? Is that her name? His sister. Shuri. Yeah. Apparently this is like now a running joke in the MCU because he was like, "What are those?" when they popped out, and it's great. So then you have Strange and meeting Peter Parker. So he's like, "What's your name?" He's like, "Dr. Strange." He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're using our superhero names, but I'm Spider-Man."
yeah. Oh, we're using made up names.
our make believe. Yeah. It's great. And another light scene that because we're getting ready to just like go nuts for the next hour of the movie. This is pretty much where the lightness ends. Okay, so after they rescue Strange, so it's Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. They head to Titan, where Quill, Drax, and Mantis are there because Nebula had contacted them to meet her on Titan. This
is where like the two good guys also kind of fight each other for a little bit until they both realize that they're against Thanos.
Because they don't know who each other are. This is the first time Iron Man and Strange and all them. Yeah, they all have a little bit of a fight. They're like, wait a second, you're fighting Thanos too? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think while that's going on, this is when you also see Strange like,
oh, so cool,
doing his weird, I'm gonna see all realities shit. Head twitching and stuff like that. I hate that movement.
They're like, are you, what, is he did it all the time? They're like, no, not really. But he's seen, well, I think the number he called out was like 14 million possible futures, 14 million and some change, like possible futures. And he's like, did you see where we win? And he's like, only one, which, come on. Really? One? Are you shitting me? So
those are supposed to be the odds, man.
Right. So even that being the case, that's when I'm like, whatever happens from here on out is supposed to happen, which makes the ending just a tiny little bit like not as painful as it probably should be to start, because it's like, this is the future that Strange saw, that we have to go down this path. Quill has to freak out. Quill has to punch Thanos. They have to not get the gauntlet now and then have this giant fight at Wakanda, and everyone has to go to Ash that's not the original trilogy, the original crew from the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, but this is also like, one, I don't think a lot of people paid attention to that part.
Okay.
Of him where he's like, there's only one. Of course, everybody in their head went like, of course there's only one.
Right.
Right? And just brushed it off. But I don't think they and in the movie they do a good job too of also like, okay, is Strange doing what's doing because he knows this is the way to go, or is this Strange just trying to be rational here and save half of humanity?
True, you're right. Does he? Yeah. We don't know the reality.
Is this like the Doctor and him going, not really that bad of an idea. Hopefully I make it. You know, like...
Well, he had to see the fact that he was gone, but we don't know what he considered them winning right now. It's like, does eliminating half the population of the universe mean that Thanos doesn't eliminate everybody? That kind of thing. You're right. We don't know that part. So this fight scene here, pretty awesome. Doctor Strange using his space portals, his transportation portals, and they're using that to fight him. And there's some fantastic choreography, CG choreography, but still Spider-Man flipping through, webbing him in the face, everybody doing their thing. But they get, Mantis gets on top of him and calms him and puts him into a trance. They're trying to pull the glove off and they're all fighting it. And Doctor Strange is using the bands of, I don't know because I don't read the comics, but everybody who's read the comics that I've seen and done research, they're like, oh, he's using the bands of whatever. It's the really thick red ones to hold him down, they're really special ones.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like I said.
Yeah. Beyond me
as well. But all of them using all of their powers to the nth degree to hold him still to pull this glove off. They almost get it off. Nebula arrives between Thanos' dream state, Quill asking him questions of where Gamora is, and Nebula helping him come to the realization that she is dead. He has killed her. Quill loses it, punches him in the face, wakes him up. He regains control of it, literally beats the living snot out of Tony Stark in the Iron Man suit, to the point where even the he's using all of the nanobots to the point where there's no more left, like to make parts of his suit anymore.
Yeah, they can't replicate fast enough to keep up with what the hell's going on.
Yeah, he's just like they just quit on him. And Doctor Strange at the end surrenders the Time Stone to Thanos to save Stark. So this is the future he saw, because to be honest, Doctor Strange doesn't know Tony Stark that well. So for him to make this big of a sacrifice for a stone that he has been sworn to protect and has this life of relationship with that stone, this has to be part of that future that he saw. Like, he's like, we're going to fight, we're going to lose, he's going to get Tony, I'm going to give it up, and Thanos is going to think he's won.
Yeah, but he's also still got to bank that, like, in those multiple end results he saw, that I guarantee there was multiple scenarios of him handing that stone over, and they all end in failure. So now he has to bank him handing that over, that all the other dominoes that need to fall into place fall into place.
Yes, absolutely. He's the only one who knows what's going on. He's
literally like, let Jesus take the wheel and drive.
Right,
he's like,
I got this.
I'm fucking out.
All right, so that's over. So they're all fine, but not, because Thanos has the stone, but no one had to die. So that's good, I guess. Real quick, it's not a major scene, except it's kind of cool, and I did not know Peter Dinklage was in the movie. So Thor, Rocket, Groot arrive at the forge, the place that they're going to forge his new weapon, and there's only one giant dwarf alive, and that is Eitri, which is played by Peter Dinklage, and it was just cool. It was just cool. So Thanos had them. The story we get is a backstory on the making of the gauntlet. Thanos went to this forge, had them create the gauntlet that could house all 6 of the Infinity Stones, and then killed everybody except Eitri. But Eitri, did you notice, like, his hands were like, he had forged, like, he had dipped his hands in, like, the metal. So
yeah, because Thanos said your hands belong to me.
Right, exactly. So
yeah.
So Eitri's done, and so Thor shows up. Eitri's all beaten down. He's all ho-hum, Eeyoring it all over the place. And
he's also pissed off because he's like mad at Thor because he's like, the Asgardians said they would protect us.
Correct.
And then that's when, like, Thor's have to be like, yeah, sorry, dude, my home planet's fucking wiped out as well.
Right. So you said Asgard would protect you. There is no Asgard anymore. Yeah, so fuck you. Your contract's up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you, man.
Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. So he's like, okay, well, the forge is down. Can't do it. Thor does some fucking Thor things and starts shit up, which is pretty badass. Like, standing there in the shot, like in the beam of the sun, getting burned to death while
dude. Okay, first of all, let's go back like 25 seconds where Thor is spinning Rocket's ship to get the forge going again, because the forge is a dying star. And so I got to point out Hemsworth's vein in this scene, because the vein that is running in his bicep is probably as big as my fucking forearm. Like, you can tell in that scene, like, whatever CGI thing they had it connected to, they were like, hey, dude, here's 800 fucking pounds. I literally want you to see if you can pull this. And, like, because the way he is flexing and screaming, like, I just want to know in that CGI scene, like, it's not just him holding a loose rope, able to, like, flex his body like that. Like, he's actually,
like, pulling a truck,
forcefully trying to do something, because that is otherwise the scariest thing I've ever witnessed in my life. Like, no one should be able to, like, power their body up like a fucking Super Saiyan the way he just did.
Agreed. So yeah, the whole thing where he's getting Rocket's ship going so he can kickstart the rings of the forge, and then even though he gets it kickstarted, it doesn't work because it won't stay open. So he has to literally hold in this awesome manly, like, Hulk Hogan almost pose of, like, holding the eye open of the forge to shoot it in to melt the metal and then do what it's got to do. So, like, taking the full brunt of the force of this star on him. So, they're telling you, let's not forget who we're dealing with. He's a god. He's the god of thunder. Like, he may be 18,000 years old, but he's a god.
Yeah, well, and also, like, I think a lot of people forget, too, that, you know, he is a god. Mm-hmm. So things like oxygen and stuff like that don't apply to him.
Well, he was floating around in space before they caught him.
That's what I'm saying,
yeah,
but, like,
exactly.
a lot of people forget how powerful, like, and not really human Thor is. Like, he just looks the part.
Right.
That's the only difference. Like, he just happens to look like an extremely large human being, but nothing else in that nature applies to him. So, like, him doing spacey stuff, like, out there just breathing and shit. Like, I remember people in my movie, when the bulb went out, like, everyone was like, how is Thor alive in space? And, like, there was people going, he's a fucking Asgardian, like, across the theater. And, like, people were going, so he doesn't need air? Like, that was the comment back. And, like, the guy was like, yeah, dude, like, he just looks like us. He doesn't work like us. And the guy in the back was like, oh, cool, man. Didn't know that. Like, it was the friendliest argument there was.
Let me buy you some Skittles.
Yeah. Did we just become best friends?
Right. That's yeah. I will when we get further on down, I'll mention how my theater, because we didn't have anything fun happen. So my reaction was more of like later on in the movie, like you could tell the pods of people who liked certain characters. Like as they were going out, you had like this side of the theater was like, and this side of the theater was like, oh no,
Yeah.
It wasn't like
you could see all the groups of their favorites just getting picked off, and like the remorse and like, oh no.
It was never in the entire theater until Peter Parker, and then no one spoke, no one said anything. They were just like trying not to cry.
Yeah, dude. Like I don't know how like that doesn't come up for like best scene in a movie or some kind of like
award,
Oscar for less than 15-minute screen time, you know, or something. Like there has to be a new specialized category for that, because Tom Holland fucking ate that scene up and shut down people and it nationwide in theaters, like, and made them hit the fucking reset button on where and what they were doing at that moment in time.
Right. Do you know where you were when Tom Holland died?
Seriously.
It will be
if you don't believe us, go see the goddamn movie.
Right. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen the movie, shame on you. This is horrible. You don't want to hear the plot from us. You just want to hear us talk about it. All right. Where are we?
Well,
we're making Stormbreaker. So
yes.
Thor does all his manly stuff.
Like Raccoon like calls the name out too. He's like, I think that was like a little overboard or something like that, where he talks about the name Stormbreaker. Like, really?
So yeah, exactly. So they have made Stormbreaker. Groot chops off part of his fucking arm to make the handle for it, which is like baller right there. Hasn't done shit the whole movie.
Yeah, teenage Groot's like, I'm gonna sacrifice my arm and make the handle for this axe.
We need a handle. He's like, fuck, fine. And he's like, I'll just cut my whole arm off. I'm good at sacrificing myself for folks. So Stormbreaker has been created. You know, you get the shot from the trailer and also, you know, in the movie of him holding it up and like all the fucking lightning and shit. And then he also has the power of the Bifrost in Stormbreaker, which he didn't have in Mjolnir. Like, he needed Heimdall to move him from place to place, but now he has the power to do it himself.
Yeah.
So, good on that. Meanwhile, the Avengers, everybody who left from Scotland, so Red Witch, Vision, Captain America, Black Widow, Falcon, all arrive in Wakanda. They task Shuri to safely extract the Mind Stone from Vision.
Don't they have a Banner with them?
And Banner. Was Banner there yet? No, he arrives with everybody else, doesn't he?
No, because there's like a scene where like Banner like comes out and he's like, hey, yeah, I've been gone. And like him and Black Widow have that like little look. Like, oh, you're okay.
Oh, that's because he was in Avengers headquarters for some reason. I forget how he got there. That's a good question, because it's probably after the fight in New York, he went to Avenger headquarters and Tony and Spider-Man were up in the spaceship.
Yeah, because Tony was like, if you're not going to be any use, get out of here, basically.
Right, so he must have come from, okay, that's right, because so we didn't mention that back at Avengers headquarters, yes, because Black Widow and him had a look. Like, they were like, oh, hey, girl.
Yeah,
I'm
been
back.
a couple years. How you doing?
I know, I'm here. It's fine. So he is also there with them. Correct. My mistake. I'm sorry for all the folks who 45 minutes ago were yelling at their phone / car that I would forgot that Banner was there. I'm sorry. So Banner's there. Shuri starts working on Vision's stone, getting it out at the time that the Outriders arrive. Thanos' army. There's a shield around Wakanda they can't pass through, but they're working on it and they're trying to get through it.
Well, this is where you also get to see the horde mentality. Like, they're clawing at it, like losing limbs through this wall, like, and then finally forcing enough pressure or whatever it was to get through. But even the ones that get through or that were losing hind legs, they're still going.
Yeah.
They're still going.
And this is pretty much the big end. This is it. This is the major thing of the movie. It's hard to describe, just vocally to people listening. It's crazy. They decide to open a portion of the shield to allow them to not encircle the entire border, thus finally breaking through where they're not protected. At least where the army is gathered, all of Wakanda's armies are all together. You see everybody. You see all the tribes, including the guys in the mountains. All of them are there, and they decide to let a certain section of the wall open to let the horde through there and keep them from encircling the whole camp and getting through where there is no protection at all.
Yeah. And
then it's just pandemonium for 15 minutes straight. Great fight. I mean, it's a major battle.
Every superhero you can think of doing their superhero things. There'll be scenes where you'll be from Falcon's point of view and he's dropping bombs onto basically the kill zone now, because since they opened up the little slit in the wall. But then from the ground you'll see purple explosions from the Black Panther's kinetic suit going off, and you'll see Captain darting from the ground. So it's this cool intermix of during this scene, only look at the dude that's the main focus for a little bit, because he's really not doing a whole lot of anything important.
Right.
Pay attention, when they give you big, broad swoops of stuff, tell your eyes to go look at the background, because you'll notice some really cool things that are going on, whether it's just one of those creatures getting sliced in half, or something like that. They pack a lot of detail
right
into what's going on.
Banner gets Hulkbuster, so he gets to do something since he can't Hulk out still. This is the part where during this fight is where Banner's trying to get the Hulk to come and you actually get a half and half face, and Hulk's no, because he's just scared. But at some point during the fight, they all begin to become overwhelmed. There's just too many to fight. There's too many to fight. But then, Thor shows up with Stormbreaker and Rocket and Groot, and they all get their licks in too. And Thor is just laying waste to swaths of the Outriders. Just
yeah, he's coming down with thunder and lightning and just throwing the axe through hundreds of them. There's times when he comes through, especially when he enters, that it was I think it was the horde was running at them, and then he comes in and you basically have to see where he wiped out the middle of the horde and it fanned out around, because that was where the only pieces he couldn't reach when he came in, and he just starts wrecking everything.
Right.
If you were a bad dude, you were dead at that point.
Right. We also forgot to mention that when Captain America and them first arrive, we see Bucky also, and he gets his new arm, and they get a nice. I like they didn't dwell on a lot of reunions, Black Widow and Hulk got their look, Cap and Bucky got a quick bro hug, and then it was time for the fight, and it was just they kind of just, you don't get a lot of scene time. You gotta get your emotions across because we're heading to the fight. So Bucky's there. And the only reason I bring up Bucky is because at one point during the fight, he picks up Rocket and like he's firing his machine gun and also aiming Rocket at everybody as he's going. Like it was great. Mm-hmm. And Groot gets to do his thing where he sticks his arm through like 3 guys and throws them around, you know, with his arm that he did with like an entire line of SWAT guys a few movies back. Yeah. So, I mean, they all get like their signature move, like their finisher, like from wrestling. But after all this, Thanos also arrives and starts just wrecking folks. Like poor Rhodes, man. Like he gets crushed in his suit like again. And for a second, I was like, oh, he's already got a broken. Like stop, poor Rhodey, man. Like he crushed him in his suit.
Dude, I love. That was also when Thanos comes in and you see War Machine get like swatted away, like when he comes through, and they quickly cut to Cheadle's character, like supposed to be in the suit, and like the face he makes as like the surprise hit. Like I want to just freeze frame it and put it on a poster because it's fucking just like it doesn't belong in that scene at all, like whatsoever. Because his face looks so just not. Like you just got swatted by something that controlled the universe. It's just like, oh.
Nice. So as Thanos is laying waste to everybody, Red Witch decides to actually join the fight. Actually, I think her and Vision join the fight. At one point, she like destroys like these big wheeled like machines that come in, like barely with like breaking a sweat, and I think it was Black Widow who was like, why has she not been here the entire time?
Oh, that was oh god, I'm gonna forget her name now.
Was it Black Widow or was it Shuri?
No, it was it was one of the King's Guards. God, what is her name?
Oh yeah, Okoye. Was that right?
Okoye,
am I wrong?
Yes, it was Okoye. God, that was pissing me off that I could not remember that.
It was a cool like girl fight. Like you had Okoye and Black Widow and Red Witch like fighting fighting Thanos.
Yeah, and you also had Okoye and Black Widow fighting one of Thanos' children.
Or maybe it wasn't Thanos. Maybe it was one of the children. Yeah, There was the girl with the horns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and and then Red Witch comes in and just lays waste to everybody.
Yep. Yeah, she was another like out of nowhere, here's a big thunderous boom. Everything that was there is now gone.
Mm-hmm. Like why has she not been here the entire time?
Yeah, seriously.
She holds, and her character in the comics, from what I understand, is just as powerful in that she's literally holding back. She has to hold back what she can do. Like she could just destroy and decimate all kinds of stuff just thinking about it. You know, it's just that I cannot wait for them to let her. She has yet to let go and just go nuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think like, you know, and that's one thing they always like, they always do with female characters is like, hey, we're going to give you this super cool female character and we're going to make her badass, right? But we're only going to let her do 1/10 of what her fucking powers are that we've been telling you about. Mm-hmm. It's like, no. If Red Witch has a fucking 1 megaton warhead that she can like shoot out of her hand on like a consistent basis.
Let's just use that.
Let's see that. Let's see that. Like, don't tell me about it. Don't tell me that she's all powerful and all this, and we're only going to like see her in this little dainty thing, and I'm only here now doing badass things because my boyfriend was snatched out and I'm slightly angry. You're like, no, dude, she's a fucking hero and like super badass. Like, I know why they made her stay with the crystal. Like, and a lot of it is, because she was Vision's thing. No, it's because she's the most powerful thing on the fucking field.
It wouldn't have been a fight.
She has to be by the most dangerous thing that we have to keep a hold of.
Right.
Like I understand the tactics behind it, but also at the same time, I'm like, that's like a full frontal assault, man. Just go throw her down there and go let her wreck shop for like 10, 15 fucking minutes. There would be a lot less of those guys coming through that fucking door.
Exactly. A lot more folks being able to attack Thanos. But so let's get to that part. So Red Witch decides, she makes the tearful decision to destroy the stone in Vision's head. And she's doing that while Thanos finds her in the middle of doing that, so she's holding him off with her powers and simultaneously destroying the stone. The stone is destroyed. She destroys the stone. It obliterates everything for like an acre, for like a large chunk of land. Like, it's a good size explosion. And Thanos just uses the time stone to turn it all back.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
so
he's pretty much like, sorry, totally lost it.
No, it's fine. It's what the time stone's for. He turns the time back in that area he's in to I forget how he disables Maximoff, but what he does is he snatches that time stone out of Vision's head. And like, I thought it was really emotional. Like, it was for him to turn from his purple to like gray.
Like that gray, yeah.
That was emotional, like watching him die that way. So he is able to complete the gauntlet with that stone. Just as Thor attacks him with Stormbreaker, and he gets him. Like, Thor gets him, like, in the chest with a fucking axe. And Thanos is like, should have gone for my head.
Yeah, basically like, dude, I'm too powerful.
Right. And he snaps his fingers. And then snaps his fingers, and then he teleports away. Thanos is gone. And he just leaves everybody to... So we're all sitting around like... So in the theater, everybody's like, fuck. He did it. Like, so what's this gonna mean?
Well, the funny thing is that snap is so subtle. Like, in my theater, a lot of people didn't like understand what the hell was going on.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, oh shit, Thanos like made some witty comment to Thor about going for the head and tucked tail and ran. Like, for the next...
out.
Yeah, like for the next shit. And then all of a sudden...
People
just start turning into fucking dust, and like that's when it like kind of slaps you in the face that that motherfucker did it. Oh God, what's happening?
Right.
Jesus Christ.
Right. And this is the part in my theater where it was so emotional, just watching like one person go, and you're like, oh shit, and then realizing that it kept happening and that nobody you loved was safe, like in these movies. And so you got to watch, like in my theater, you get to watch each individual pocket of folks who liked a certain character the most, like losing their mind. Like, it was like a wave of people, and it was so cool and so like sad, like watching like everybody just like, no, God, like they're like, oh, everybody's just like losing it. They were just losing it. It was great. And I've not been in a theater for any movie that has done that in a long, long, long time.
Yeah, dude, it was a crazy gut-wrenching, like,
capped off by Spider-Man.
Yeah, like Spider-Man's farewell in the movie.
The fear
is probably one of the best things I've experienced in film in the past decade.
The fearful dying teenager. Knowing teenagers that think they're invincible. We've all been teenagers, even as old guys. We know that there's a time in your life where you're like, nothing can touch me. And that's where he's at right now. And watching him go and watching him realize that was gut-wrenching and just powerful. And Tom Holland nailed it. And it was the worst thing I've watched in a long time. And like, it wasn't even like it was gory. It was just to watch his eyes and the emotion and him holding Tony, and Tony realizing that he was just talking about wanting a son a day ago and not realizing he had one already in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, dude. And like, I'm glad I didn't go see that movie with my son. Because he's 15, man. And if I would have been there in the theater sitting next to him, dude, like, I would have been pulling him into my lap, crying, holding him, like, you'll never leave me, buddy. Like, you'll never leave me. Like, don't worry about it.
Oh, shit. I can still see you do that. He's like, Dad, get off me. Dad, get off me. Like, no, man, it's cool. Like, I love you, dude. Like, sit in Daddy's lap.
Embrace it.
All right, so let's go through our rest in peace list. So you have Bucky, Groot, Peter Parker, Quill, Doctor Strange, T'Challa, which Black Panther, which, considering that was the last movie that came out, and a lot of folks that went to see that may or may not have been like huge fans of the Marvel Universe, then came to see this movie because they knew he was in it, they lost their fucking mind in the theater.
I was even surprised by him going, because I was like, "Damn, dude,
Like,
that
that's
was a
harsh.
big movie."
Yeah, so T'Challa,
They take out Strange.
Strange is gone also, and the guy who saw it all knows he has to go too. Drax, Mantis, Maximov, Wilson, those are all who are dead. So it leaves you Captain America, Thor, Bruce Banner, Black Widow, Rhodey, Rocket, Okoye, M'Baku, and Nebula and Stark are all who are left. So minus a couple of them, because especially when T'Challa dies, like when he's like, come on, Okoye, this is not a place to die. And then he starts to go, like her reaction was also really like heart-wrenching. Like when she was like, I think she even said like, my king, because he was like, he started to go and like, she was like, her emotional reaction got me a little bit, but it was before Peter. So like, I was like, oh, that sucks. But like, it wasn't like the Peter sucks.
Yeah, no, like, I mean, everybody that disappeared in this movie and if there was anyone that was around, like next to them in the scene, like they all did a good job with the kind of confused reaction that was going on, but nothing's going to touch fucking Spidey's scene in this.
Exactly.
Like, you could lay down the best acting you've ever done probably in this, and like the way Spidey pulled that scene off, it still wouldn't touch it. You go, I'm sorry, dude. Like, he just literally 100% got everything right about that.
Right. Just owned it.
You know,
he just owned it.
You couldn't, there's no other way. I mean, there's a million other ways that could have been done, but there's only one way that it could have been done fucking perfect, and he did it.
Exactly.
And I think I was telling you earlier, too, that in that scene, the director was basically like, hey, Tom, here's coming up. Like didn't give him any lines. He was like, Spidey doesn't want to die.
Do it.
Go. and that's what Tom Holland came up with.
Right, which is like, you're the man. Like,
yeah, which makes it even more impressive. God damn, he's so talented.
We love you, Tom Holland. Okay, so what they've done for the next movie is narrow it down to the original core group of folks minus a few outlying characters. You've got Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and Hulk. Like, that's who it's down to. Everybody else is gone. All right? And real quick, just so we can touch on it, so we can then talk about things we hope to see in the next movie. The after credit scene is Nick Fury and Maria Hill driving in New York. They start to see like helicopters going down and cars crashing, and they're like, what's going on? Nick Fury realizes as Maria starts to disappear, he's like, oh shit, and he runs into his bag and activates a device just as he goes away. And you could have, everybody in the entire theater called his line, like as he was fading out, because it's Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna make him cuss.
Right, and then he's out. He's out into ash. So Maria Hill and him both go away. But before he vanishes, with the device he activates is like an old school pager with like a whole bunch of extra tech on it, and the symbol on it is for Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
and in my theater, I wanted to bring this up because it was kind of a letdown. The couple behind me were like the comic nerds that I was talking about earlier in the podcast. Like, they were 100% into this movie. Like, every little thing, they were like, oh, like they were smarter than me until the very end. They were like, oh, that's Nova. And I was like, that's not Nova. Like, that's not his sim. Like, that's Captain. Like, all of your cred just went out the window, buddy. You're just wrong. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you and your girlfriend can go home because it's not Nova, and you're going to feel really dumb later on tonight when you watch like a trailer, when you watch like a reveal video on YouTube that you're wrong. Because I was like, isn't that Captain? But I didn't want to say it because I didn't know good enough to say Captain Marvel.
I may be right, but I'm not going to test the water.
Isn't it that hot chick? Like, I don't know. So anyway, so that's the end credit scene. That's the movie. That's Infinity War. that is probably the best 2.5 hours I've spent in a theater in a long time since we've been doing this podcast, for sure.
Yeah, no, it was a great movie.
It was great.
It's fantastic.
Now, real quick, because anybody who's hanging on, we love you, because this is a really, really long podcast. For the next movie, what are your thoughts? Do you think everybody's going to come back?
No, I don't think everybody's going to come back.
Okay.
I think the Guardians of the Galaxy crew's done.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the only reason I say that is because I know, the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie's coming out. It's a whole new cast.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why, you had the introduction to, Stallone and, the Nova Corps and all that shit. So I guess apparently they're involved a little bit more. I don't know a whole bunch about it, but, I also kind of Chris Pratt's, the hottest fucking thing in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and, I wouldn't be surprised if there's just now scheduling conflicts with his other movies, Jurassic Park, and God knows what else he's got on his plate. And Gamora's is one of those, even if you can reset time, it seems like it's such a finality.
Because she didn't die with the Ash people, she died for real.
Yeah, she died soul for soul thing. So even if you went, I know you guess you could go back in time and alter shit and blah blah blah, but it's to make that happen, there's just entirely too much shit that needs to be orchestrated.
Okay.
That we don't know anything about. I think T'Challa will be back. Strange will be back.
Spidey's got to come back.
Yeah, Spidey has to come back. I mean, even if they say wrote Spidey off and they're any other Spider-Man films we make, we'll just not do with
Peter Parker is a different Spidey
in Infinity War, right? It'll be a fucking Tuesday in New York,
right?
And we got a Spider-Man,
right?
Film.
Since we do know there is a Black Panther film coming out at some point, there's another Spider-Man movie coming out at some point. It's where they slip into the timeline. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so, but for this universe, I think even if they wrote Spider-Man out, after that scene and probably the insane, even just the stuff I'm reading on Twitter about it and how in everyone's holy fuck, dude, that scene, holy shit, they would write him back in. They'd be there's no way we can not bring him back now. It's almost you were saying in the Black Panther movie where the guy from Get Out, you're I think they came back and filmed him a little bit more because of the popularity of Get Out.
Right.
I just don't see how they would not bring that back.
Okay. So I think you're wrong. Okay, so because they left the original core group because they need to trim it down for the next movie, at least for a large a significant portion of it. You want to let all the old school guys. This is going to be their final movie. And here's what I think. I think, and this is only me speculating. I have nothing to base this on except what I want to see in the theaters, and this will include what I alluded to earlier on in the episode in this podcast. Currently, I alluded to what I wanted to see in the next movie. Here it comes. So this is going to be the next movie is going to be the final movie of Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, and who am I missing?
Black Widow.
Nope, Captain America
and Hawkeye.
Captain America.
Oh, Captain America.
Okay, those four. They've been there the longest, and they've run their course. And also, the actors themselves have been in this for 10 years. It's time. They're okay, I'm done. We had this entire new cast, the new crew of the MCU to carry on the next 10 years, which is your Peter Parkers, your Stranges, your Guardians of the Galaxy. All of those folks are going to carry it on from here. This next movie is going to be the where they pass the mantle. For the initial portion of the next movie, it's going to be that core group figuring out how to undo what's been done. Now, there's stuff in the comics that I've learned from things I've watched since the movie came out. There's a soul world where these folks who turned to ash could have gone, and it could be about getting them back. And the fact that we didn't see Ant-Man and Wasp, there's also theories that they were in the what do they call it when they go too small? I forget, but they were there when this happened. Why they weren't affected? Ant-Man and Wasp, and Hawkeye's not here. So, but the Soul World, they're gonna at some point in the next movie, the core four are going to get the gauntlet from Thanos, or at least get the stones from Thanos. Because the gauntlet, by the way, when it snapped, like the gauntlet melted or shattered or something. Like the gauntlet is fucked. The stones are fine, but the gauntlet is fucked. So they're gonna have to figure out a way to use these stones to bring everybody back. At least their people, if not the other half of the universe. Whether it be the 5 or 6 old school folks, each holding a stone, connecting each other, sacrificing themselves to bring the rest of these folks back, or them just finding a way to bring them all back, but then the core 4 or 5 dying by the end of the movie. But what I want to see, what they've teased us with for numerous Avengers movies, is Captain America has never officially said Avengers Assemble for any of the movies. It's never been said. He started to say at the end of Civil War, or no, at the end of, I think, Avengers, like when they were doing the new training area and everything. Is that, you know what I'm talking about? He was like, Avengers, and they cut to credits. Like, I want him to use whatever method, the time stone, or bring them back from the soul world, and I want everybody who's been blinked out to form with the core group. And at that point, like, that's when Cap says Avengers Assemble, and they rush Thanos or whatever they're fighting. And then that's what starts the giant, and that's the part where the entire theater is gonna fucking like leave their seats. It's gonna be like, oh shit, and they're all gonna go nuts. Like, that's what's gonna happen. Like, if no one has ever said Avengers Assemble throughout all of the Avengers movies, and everybody's wanted it. So what better way to say that line one time than when you finally have everybody back? Because honestly, even in this movie, Tony and Doctor Strange, they're not there. They're on Titan when this happens. Spidey, all them. This is going to have everyone on the playing field. And this is when Cap says Avengers Assemble. And like, everybody creams their pants. It's a big giant fight. Iron Man dies. Thor dies. Captain America dies. Either dies or they had to sacrifice themselves for one of the new crew. And then that's how you turn it over. That's my movie if I'm writing it. Just saying.
Okay.
I want to say that Avengers Assemble will be said in the next movie. And it's going to be so epic. It'll be like, I am your father, like Vader's. Like, it's going to be as epic as when Vader said, I'm your father. Like, it's going to be one of those callbacks to that you talk about for 40 years since the movie's been made.
Okay. I hope to go to the theater with you and have that not happen, just so I can witness the destruction of your soul.
Right. Like, it didn't happen.
You're the only one walking out openly weeping. Like, everyone's like, great movie. You're just like, I'm fucking done, man. I can't do it anymore.
Right. Okay, well, May 2019, you'll find out whether I cry or exclaim in the movie.
Oh, man. I fucking would not want to be sitting next to you if you nailed that. I wouldn't be able to pay attention to the rest of the movie. You'd just be like, I got that right. You see that? I called that shit. You heard that, right? I'd be like, there's another fucking hour left, right?
Do not think I will not have this audio queued up on my phone to play out loud if that happens. I'll be like, I fucking called it a year ago. I have proof. All right. That's Avengers Infinity War. That's our thoughts for the next movie. The next portion of Infinity War. We don't know the title of it. We know there is Ant-Man and Wasp is coming out later on. Deadpool 2 is coming out later on. There's a few other Marvel things coming out before next May. So stay tuned. We know we're going to be going to see them. We know we're going to review them and talk about the plots with you guys. This is an extremely long podcast. We love everybody who stayed on this long. Thanks for listening to us. I'm not going to do anything else. We're just going to cut it off right here. I'm going to say bye. Corey's going to say bye, and we're out of here. So we'll catch you guys next week for our double episode, or double Westworld episode, single podcast episode. So Westworld episode 2 and 3 coming at you next week. We'll see you guys then.
All right, guys. Take care.